Hi, I'm Rob Stiff of Magic Makers Incorporated, and welcome to Complete Card Magic. On this series of DVDs, you will get everything from beginner all the way to expert extreme card magic. Now, in addition to great card magic, you will be taught by the very best, Jerry Griffin. So without further ado, the magic and the mystery of Jerry Griffin.
I think it's time to do a little betting game here. I think I need the help of somebody to help in this little betting game. Excellent. I'll give the cards a quick shuffle. I won't look. I want you to just touch any one of those cards you like. Draw it completely out of there. In fact, take a good long look at that card. Make sure I don't catch a glimpse of it, but be sure that you show it to your friends as well. That's good. And why don't you just drop it right back. Here, let me shuffle the cards a little bit more. That's a good spot. Excellent. Now, the card has been returned to the pack. It is somewhere in here. And I'm just going to go by the sense of touch, I think it is. Sense of touch. Let me see. No, not those. No. I know it's here somewhere. You see, I can tell, I don't know if you know this, but I can tell what the card is just by the sense of touch. I thought I was getting close there for a moment, but no. Oh, I'm getting very close. In fact, the feelings are getting much stronger as to what, yes. In fact, I get an extremely strong feeling about this. Yeah. In fact, I am so positive that I would be happy to make a bet with you. In fact, I am so positive that the next card I turn over is your card, I'd be happy to wager a few dollars on this. But why don't we just make it a gentleman's bet? You ready to go with me on this one? I think you are. In fact, the next card I turn over is, I do believe, your card. How about that? I think I won the bet. Thank you, gentlemen. This is a classic bet type card trick. It uses a key card. In this case, the key card will be our bottom card, whatever that happens to be. You can ask your audience to shuffle the cards if you like. Now, you tell them you will spread the cards apart and have them select a card. Ooh, let me turn those cards face down. That's how I catch a glimpse of the bottommost card, in this case, the Ten of Hearts. I now spread the cards between my hands, offer the cards for a selection. The audience selects a card at random, truly at random. And now, of course, they look at the card. Remember to tell your audience, please take great care not to let me see what that card is. Of course, you as the magician will turn your head to the side so that you cannot see the card at all. This is very important. So the audience has remembered what their card is. You can now cut the cards into small packs on the table like this. And when they say stop, you ask them to return their card. It goes into the pack. And now remember, the key card, in this case the Ten of Hearts, will go on top, just like that. You now give the cards a squaring. You can pause for a moment. If you want, you can allow the audience to cut the cards a couple of times, because this will not ruin the fact or change where that Ten of Hearts is in relationship to the key card. Face up, for example, remember this. There's the Ten of Hearts, and there is our selected card. Even if the cards were cut face down, this is exposed and the Ten of Hearts is right here. Another cutting will put those cards back together again. Now for the finish of this mystery. I will start turning over cards one at a time as I'm going. I'm acting as though I am looking for maybe a psychic revelation or a vibration or a feel. What I am doing, of course, is I'm actually looking for my key card. This is all an acting job. As soon as I spot that key card go, I know that the next card will be the card the audience selected. Now you must not hesitate at this point. Just keep dealing cards onto the table until you've gone a number of cards past the actual selection. Once you've gone past a number of cards like this, now you begin to slow down. Ooh, wait a minute. You seem to be getting a psychic vibration or something like that. You can pause for a moment if you want. No, I don't think that's it. Oh no, this is definitely it. Yes, I am really getting a very strong impression. You now tell your audience, ladies and gentlemen, the next card I turn over is your card. How about that? In fact, you can even bet your audience that fact if you like. Bet them a drink, whatever. But the audience will believe that you are going to turn over this one. You can rub this and you say, yes, remember exactly what I said. I'll bet you the next card I turn over is your card. The audience thinks you're going to turn over this one, at which point you reach out, pull their card off the table, and merely turn it over, having turned over the next card, and it is their card. A classic little bet type of card trick using the key card. I think it's time to have another card selected. Yeah, let's see. I'll spread the cards out. The gentleman right here, if you would, just draw any one of those cards out. That looks like a good choice. Please remember your card and show it to the gathered multitude. Excellent. I'll give the cards a few cuts like this, and just drop your card back. Right about there is good. Interesting. Watch what happens to that card. Into the pack it goes. In a second, I will give it a spread look. Instantaneously, one card reverses itself. Isn't that incredible? Your card. Amazing, isn't it? That wasn't it? Well, you know, these things seem to happen from time to time. In fact, I do believe that this is an indicator card. I think it indicates that our mystery has gone completely awry. But you know, if I use that 5 and see what it does indicate, 5, let me spell it out for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your card? I do believe. The selected card. By the way, I'm sorry about that mistake over here. In fact, I'd like to try to make it up to you. So if you're a poker player, I know you'll appreciate the following. How about that? A king high, 4 of a kind. Pretty good if I say so myself. For our simple card revelation, you do need a small setup. What I do is I take one numbered card, in this case the 5, and it goes on the bottom of the deck. Now you also pull out the 4 aces. For example, these cards now go underneath that reversed 5. This is your setup. Now the cards are squared, and you're now going to have a card selected. Remember, you can spread the cards between your hands. Just make sure you don't spread down so far that the audience sees the reversed 5 on the bottom. Offer the cards, and please ask your audience politely to have a card selected. These cards are returned together like this. The audience now remembers whatever card they have selected. I now continue by cutting small packs of cards to the table and ask my audience to say stop whenever they like. As soon as they say stop, you do so. The card is returned in that position. Remember exactly where on the bottom of the pack that 5 and the aces are. That now goes on top, and like a key card principle, the 5 with the 4 aces are above it, and the 5th card down is the audience's selected card. I now make a pretty big deal out of the fact that I will snap my fingers, I will ribbon spread the cards on the table, and look, their card is instantly reversed right in the center of the deck. Isn't that amazing, you say? Of course, your audience will look at you as if maybe you have lost your mind, or at least simply enough, that is not my card. Of course, now you act a little bit puzzled and perplexed. Gee, that isn't your card. You're a little saddened by that fact. You say, wait a minute, maybe the 5 is trying to tell us then something. So you slide all the cards above it off to the side. Picking up this group, you say the 5. Well, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards down, and look, there it is, the selected card. There is your revelation. However, a secondary finish would be is to say, now that I have dealt 5 cards down, and there is our queen, their selected card, the mystery seems to be over. I deal that card forward and say, there it is, look, 5 cards away, your queen of clubs. The audience will think the mystery is over, but now you continue. You push these cards to the side for a moment and you say, by the way, I'd like to make it up to you. And if you're a poker player, you would definitely like to have the 4 aces. Another little extra finish for a simple card revelation. Well, I just happen to have a deck of cards with me today. How convenient. I think I need to have a card selected, if you would. Please, of course, remember your card. Show it to everyone, please. Well, maybe not everyone, just these nice people here. Great. And go ahead and drop your card right there in the pack. Perfect. You've heard the saying, the eyes are the window to the soul. I think you've heard that saying before. Let me stare into your eyes for a minute and see what I can see. Size 9. I'm sorry, the wrong soul. That was your shoe size. Let me look in there again. Yes, I think I have the card that you were thinking of. I can see it right in your eyes. In fact, I do believe that it was a black card. The club. Yes. The Queen of Clubs. I think the eyes are the window to the soul. The eyes are the window to the soul. Here is our explanation. The deck is in no particular order. The cards are random, and you are ready to start as soon as the cards come out of the box. You can allow your audience to even shuffle the cards if you like. You're going to catch a glimpse of the bottom card. This will be our key card. An easy way to do this, of course, is to have a card selected while the audience is looking at that and remind them to make sure you don't get to see the card. They will remember the card, and as you gesture pointing, say, take a look at your card. This is when you catch a glimpse of the bottom card. So now the card is returned to the deck and you cut the cards to the table. The card is replaced, and now the key card goes right on top of their selected card. Remember, there's the key card and it goes right on top. You can square the cards up. You're now ready to perform. You tell your audience, reminding them, of course, that remember, the eyes are the window to the soul. So now you look your audience member deeply into the eyes and you say, size 8. Now there's just a tiny little chuckle. You say, excuse me, wrong soul. That was the sole of your shoes. But somewhere in this pack is your card. Somewhere in this deck. Now what I do is I casually run through the cards as I'm talking. Now I'm looking for my key card, which of course is the 8. The 8 of spades. As I quickly run past it, I'm going to look at the card just above it. And remember, that's the card, their card, that I want. I want to do this casually and quickly. Say, remember, your card is somewhere in this deck. Don't forget your card. Let me stare into your eyes one more time. Now you become serious, and as you look in their eyes, you now divine the card. Interesting. The red 2, the 2 of hearts. Incredible. I guess the eyes are the window to the soul. I have just seen your card. So there is a very nice, slightly comical at the beginning, but presentation of a standard card revelation. But you know, I think it's time to show you how modern science has helped me find cards. I know that sounds kind of thrilling, and well, we'll see what happens. I do need to have a card selected, so if you would just touch any one of those. Pull it out, remember the card, show it to all these nice people. Excellent. And just pop it right back in. Perfect. Somewhere in the deck is your card. Now, there's no possible way any of us could know. Well, you could, but not me. So I'm going to do the following. I'll spread these cards out. That looks pretty good, about like that. And if you would, just put your hand right out here onto the table. The palm up, that's perfect. That way I can check your pulse. Oh, good, you have a pulse. Excellent. That's good. Had me worried for a minute. Now, as I move my hand across the cards, I find that yeah, it's weird. The pulse seems to quicken right about here. I do get the impression your card is in this group. Let me just separate a few cards off in here. In fact, as I narrow it down, yes, it's getting a little bit faster right there. You see, you can't lie. It's just like a lie detector almost. It seems strongest right there. Your pulse quickens. Jack of Spades, that was your card?
Yep.
I thought so. Let's do another pick a card trick. In this case, how we find the selected card is through the pulse on the wrist of our audience member. This is a key card mystery, of course. The card on the face of the deck is the key card that we will use to identify whatever the selected card is. I'll show you another method here of identifying the key card. The cards are at random order. They can even be shuffled by a spectator. Your audience now selects a card. Now that the audience has selected a card, you ask them to look at it and make sure they do not let you see the card. While they have that card, you start placing small packs onto the table. As you do this, you stop at some point and say, why don't you drop your card into the pack? As you grab this pack, you just gesture. Right about there would be nice. At this steep angle that I look down as I use this as a pointer, I can catch a glimpse of the face card of this pack. You can also hold the cards from above and say, why don't you place your card there on the pack? That gives me a glimpse of my key card. This card is now returned to the pack. I pop those cards on top, and the key card is right next to their selected card. Now they have remembered their card, and now you are going to divine the selection. Here's how you go about it. Remember, in the pack, of course, where my 8 of spades is, the card just to the right of it, the card on top of here is the selected card, in this case the 9 of diamonds. So now what I do is I ribbon spread the cards from my right to the left across the table. Make sure you spread the cards well enough so, of course, you can see the key card. Now I would then take my spectator by the wrist, and I'm going to hold my fingers against their pulse, apparently. And now as I move their hand across the cards like this, I tell them I am going to, by just feeling the pulse, whenever it gets near their card, their pulse will slightly increase. You now can tell them it seems to be increasing right about here. Of course, you're doing this above where the key card is. I can now narrow it down, and I would separate the cards, getting rid of some of these. I can now enhance the presentation by dragging it out just a little bit longer. I can say, yes, the pulse seems to increase right about the center here, and ultimately, of course, you come to stop right on their selected card. So you have apparently found their card just by the variation in the pulse. It's not a magical effect, but it is very magical in nature that somehow you could tell by their pulse where the selected card was. I'd like to show you a mystery where a gentleman will merely think of a card, and I will magically find it. I happen to have a deck of cards on the table. I'm going to deal them into 3 rows of cards. The gentleman here, if you would, as you look at the cards on the table, I'd like you to think of any one of these cards. Think of any one of those cards, and just if you would, gesture which row it's in. The card you are thinking of is in that row. In fact, I will turn away so I can't see and just point out the card to our friends at home so they can see what the card is. I promise not to peek. Excellent. You've done that? Very good, very good. I'm going to deal these cards out again onto the table. And I would like you to once again look at the rows. Just think of where your card happens to be. You see your card out there? You do. Excellent. Which row does it happen to be in? Ah, down in this row. One of these cards is a card you are merely thinking of. Excellent. I'll deal them out one more time for the psychic forces to truly kick in. As you scan across these cards looking for your card, allow the psychic center of your brain to reach out and tell me what the card is you are thinking of. In fact, which row is it in? It's in the center row this time. Concentrate on your card, if you would. I get the very strongest impression you are definitely thinking of a red card, correct?
Right.
In fact, I do get the strongest impression that it is a red number card, in fact. In fact, I do believe it is somewhere right here. It is not that one. I do believe you chose the 3 of diamonds.
Yep.
How about that? Psychic powers are with us today. Well, this is the 21 card trick, or as it's sometimes known, the trick that uses 3 rows of 7. The deck is in a random order. It does not matter. There is no preparation when it comes to the order of these cards. You will now deal 21 cards into 3 rows of 7. Like this, going from left to right, across, until you have 3 rows. That's 4, 5, 6, and now 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in each row. Once you have the cards dealt out like this, you are going to ask your audience to remember any one of these cards. Now, here's the key to how this works. It does not matter what card they remember in any one of these 3 rows. The key is this. Just for the sake of this explanation, let's say they remember and are thinking of the Ace of Hearts. You would merely ask them, which row, don't tell me the card, but which row are you thinking of a card in? Your audience would then point to this row. You now take the cards, squaring them up, and all you have to do is make sure that this pile goes in between these 2. In other words, you would pick them up like that. So now it's in the middle. Turn the piles over and deal once again 3 rows of 7. This is a mathematical mystery in exactly how it works. As you are dealing the cards out once again, you ask your audience to look for their selected card. And if you would, just merely tell me which row it's in. Of course, your audience, and it just happens to be, once again, in this row, for the sake of this demonstration, the Ace of Hearts. Once again, you would merely proceed in the same fashion. For example, let's say if their card happened to be over here, and it very well could be, you would proceed as I mentioned moments ago. You pick the cards up like this, making sure that their group of cards is in the middle. You need to, for the mathematical principle to work, deal the cards out one more time. Upon the third time that you deal these cards, you are going to know which card it is once they point out the row. And of course, they are going to point out the middle row. Mathematically, it just works out that the selected card will be fourth down from the top. That will be the ace of hearts. You can now proceed in a couple of different ways to produce the card. You can ask them, which row does your card happen to be in? They now point to this row. You instantly know which one it is. You now square these up. The card will now be 11 cards down from the top. You can do it as follows if you like. You can deal 1, 2, 3, counting to yourself, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, as if you were trying to feel for the cards, 10, 11, and there it would be the ace of hearts. So since it is 11 cards down, you can do it that way if you like, almost as if you're feeling for what their card is. Or you could merely scoop up the cards, put a hand on top, get the psychic vibration, and now divine what their card is. It's a red card, it's a powerful card, it's an ace, the ace of hearts. That would be a great way to finish off the 21 card trick. A simple card divination with a mathematical principle of performing the mystery. Well, I'd like to show you one of the more amazing senses that the human beings have that is really relatively unknown. Let me just demonstrate. I do need a card selected if I could have the kind help of a helping hand. There we are. Take the card out. Please remember your card, of course. And just go ahead and put it back. Right there is good. Excellent. Perfect. You, of course, everyone knows of the sense of sight and smell and sound and touch. But there's one sense that a lot of people aren't familiar with, and that is the sense of bite. I know that sounds very weird, so let's see. Let me take a few cards out of here, and we'll just, well, let's see. This looks like a good group of cards. Yeah, I think this will work just perfectly. Let's see. The sense of bite. No, that's not it. Let's see. Let me try again. No, that's not it. Definitely not it. Nope. That wasn't your card either, was it? No, that wasn't it. Let me see. It's somewhere here. Oh, I think I got something there. I think I lost a tooth. That 9 of clubs? That was it?
Yep.
How about that? The sense of bite. Now here's a very nice, simple, truly unexpected card revelation, which I call crunch. Now to do this, you can either use a cough drop, something like this, or an uncooked macaroni noodle works extremely well. Have a few of them in your pocket and you're ready to perform. The idea is that this item will crunch very well when you bite down on it. So in this case, I have a candy mint or a cough drop or the uncooked macaroni noodle in my mouth. I would now use a simple key card method of tracking the selection. When I give the cards an overhand shuffle, of course, I'm going to spot my key card, in this case the 5 of diamonds, and I will have a card selected. A card is touched by your member of the audience. They remember what that card is. And now as I shuffle off, overhand shuffle-wise, this key card will, of course, go right on top of the selected card when it is returned. I like to shuffle down so that I don't have too many cards here on top. And now I would ask for the card to be returned. You just throw those cards on top, and you're ready to perform. Now, the fact that I know my key card in this case, which will be the 5 of diamonds, the 4 of spades I know is going to be the selected card. So, I continue on from there. I now, of course, doing an acting job on this, I take a few cards off the top of the deck, knowing that I have enough here to make it seem reasonable. And now I just turn these cards over one at a time and do my little biting sequence. When I continue on and I finally get to what my key card is, as I'm going through this biting sequence, when I get to the key card, I know that the next card will be my selected card. As I pick this card up, I merely move the little crunchy bit in my mouth between my teeth, crunch down on it. The sound of that crunch will, of course, cause great surprise in your audience, and it will, of course, cause a laugh as well. At which point you almost act as though you've broken a tooth, toss the selected card onto the table, and there you have it. A card found by the sense of bite. I call that crunch. Well, I have a lady friend in the deck of cards that is going to help us. In fact, I think she's up to her old tricks. We'll see for sure. A gentleman out here to my right, if you would, just reach out, draw out any one of those cards you like. That's a good choice. Please take great care not to let me see the card. Excellent. Very good. Very good. That's perfect. Everybody has seen it at home, though? If you would just drop it right back in the pack. Into the deck it goes. I did tell you about my lady friend. We call her the Gypsy. You didn't happen to pick the Queen of Spades, did you? Oh, wonderful. Let me find her in here. I know she's around in this deck somewhere. Yeah, let's see. Oh, there she is. Excellent. There she is, my little friend, the Gypsy. She is going to whisper in my ear exactly the card you chose. Yep. She says it was a number card. Is that correct? It was a number card?
Yes.
It was a number card. Wonderful. In fact, let me listen again. She says it is a red number card. Mm-hmm. She's correct so far?
Yep.
That little lady can tell me a lot. In fact, let me place her on your hand, if you would. Just hold out one hand like this. That's perfect. If you listen to her, can you tell what card she's saying? I think she says the 8 of diamonds. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
It is. You know, that's wonderful because I think, as I mentioned earlier, she is up to her old tricks. That Gypsy lady knows an awful lot. I thank you for your kind attention. Well, I think the deck of cards, at least my lady friend here, is up to her old tricks. I'll show you what I mean. That is the introduction to our next mystery. Here's the explanation. What you do is you take the Queen of Spades out of the deck and place her on top of the pack, back here, this being the top of the deck. She is our key card, this time on the top of the pack. Now you would proceed as follows. The cards are spread between your hands, and you offer for the card, a card to be selected from the deck. It doesn't matter what card it is, as long as they don't pick the top card of the deck. If your audience tries to pick the top card, just tell them, it's okay, I already know what the top one and probably even the bottom one is, so why don't you pull one out of the middle? That's much more random. Usually the audience will just take one from the center anyway. Bring these cards back together. Remember, that is your queen. They remember their card, whatever it happens to be. I now cut the upper half of the pack to the table, and I ask for the card to be returned to the deck. I can now throw individual packs on top of that a little bit at a time, which adds to the random look of what's going on. Remember, the Queen of Spades is in the center of the pack. The selected card is on top of it. So now I square the cards, and I say that there is one card in the deck, which is the Gypsy, and she will help tell me what your card is. By the way, you didn't happen to pick the Queen of Spades, did you? Of course, the audience will reply no. You say, well, that's good. Let me find the Queen of Spades. Now you take the cards facing toward you and you run down to about the center of the deck and find the Queen of Spades. Now remember, the card right behind it will be the actual selected card. So now you cut the face group of cards to the back of the deck and square them up, making sure, of course, you do not allow the audience to see the Ace of Clubs behind the Queen of Spades. You say, yes, here she is, the Queen of Spades. She will whisper in my ears what your card is. Now, when I spread the cards out to begin with, I caught a glimpse of that card, so I already know that the selected card is the Ace of Clubs. Make sure you know that when you're in this position. I take the Queen of Spades and I would hold the card up to maybe my left ear, and I would act as though I'm listening to her whispering in my ear. I would now reply with, especially if it's a black card, I would say, she tells me that you chose a cherry-colored card. Now your audience will look at you puzzled, of course, because they're thinking red. You listen again and you say, I'm sorry, that's black cherry, correct? So there is a little extra gag that you can use if it is a black card like that. Otherwise, you can say, as you listen, you say, she tells me you chose a red card. When the audience says no, you say, well, it must have been a black one then. Let me listen more closely. So you do get a little bit of a smile out of that presentation. You listen again. Now don't drag this out too long, however. She says it was a club. In fact, I get the strongest impression. Now you pick up two cards. You're going to just pick up two cards like this. This is a rudimentary double lift. And if you need to, all you have to do is lift with your thumb one, seeing the card underneath, and make sure you pick up two. Allow these cards to go together. And there's your double, holding them like this. You turn this pack over in your hand, and you say, the Queen tells me by listening to her, you chose. Turn your double over, pick the card up, set the deck to the side. Remember, they will believe this is the Queen of Spades, but it's actually the Ace of Clubs. Now you lean down toward that card with your left ear and say, I get the impression she says your card is the Ace of Clubs. Is that it? The audience will reply yes, and there's your first revelation. Place the card into the spectator's hand and you say, you know, that gypsy is up to her old tricks again. Watch. I now wave, and when the audience turns over the card in their hand, they will now have a transformation of the Queen of Spades into their selected card. That is the second punch, the second revelation in this nice little mystery. The lady is up to her old tricks again. I do need to have another card selected. That is, if I had any other cards selected beforehand. Well, let's do it this time, at least for the first. If you would, go ahead and draw any card out of there. Excellent. Have I ever seen you before? Oh, let's continue on. I think I'm having a spell is my problem. I will cut the cards into small packs on the table like this, and just go ahead and poke that card in wherever you like. Right there? Oh, that's good. Excellent. All I have to do is merely cast a shadow across the cards, and you see your card will turn over magically when I spread the cards. Isn't that incredible? There it is. What's that? Yeah. That's not your card? No. I guess I was right. I think I am having a spell. So why don't I spell the card? Let's see, a 9 of clubs, huh? Let's try that. How about N-I-N-E-O-F-C-L-U-B-S? What was your card?
6 of spades.
That's what I thought. I guess I should have those spells more often. Here's our explanation for, I think I'm having a spell. Here's how we set it up. Take any card in the deck, doesn't matter which one it is. In this case, I'll use the 7 of spades. Now I'm going to spell the cards after it. For example, in this case, I would spell S-E-V-E-N-O-F-S-P-A-D-E and forget the S at this point. This pack now goes on the very bottom of the deck. You are now ready to spell to the selected card. That's your setup. Now here you go. You would spread the cards between your hands, ask for the audience to make a selection, and they will. Tell them to make sure they look at their card and remember it. Don't let me see it. The card will now be returned to the pack. I cut about the upper third of the deck to the table, ask them to replace their card, and the bottom half of the pack goes on top of it. Now the selected card is right away from that 7 if I spell 7 of spades. I am now ready to perform the revelation of this mystery. I now make a magical pass. I wave my hand over the cards. I give them a wiggle, whatever you like as that thing that causes the magic. The cards are spread on the table, ribbon spread, or you can spread them between your hands and say, look, there it is, your card. These cards will go off to the side. Once the audience, of course, acknowledges the fact that, no, you were wrong, Mr. Magic, you say, gee whiz, that wasn't your card? Oh boy, I think I'm having a spell here. Wait, in fact, let me spell this card, the 7 of spades. That's SEVENOFSPADES. And there it will be, their selected card. Remember, it doesn't have to be the 7 of spades. It could be any card in the deck that you use to set this up. You'll just make sure, of course, that whatever that card is, you just set it up to spell. Like in this case, 9 of spades, it would be NINEOFSPADE, and then drop the last one, S. That goes on the bottom of the deck, because you see the selected card will end up being that last letter of the card that we spell. So there you have it. I am having a spell, spelling to the audience's selected card. By the way, I'd like to do a little lie detector test now. Have you ever taken a lie detector test?
No.
Excellent, excellent. This will be a lot of fun for you, I think. I'll give the cards a shuffle face up. That way you can see they do truly mix. Even a cut face down and one more quick shuffle. And if you would, give the cards a cut, please. And complete the cut. Excellent, thank you very much. In a moment, I'm going to have you select a card. And you can either lie, L-I-E, or tell the truth, T-R-U-T-H. I spell that out for the children in the audience. Thank you. Let's see. I will spread these cards. If you would, take any one of those cards out of there you like. Please show it to our friends at home. Excellent. And with the remaining cards that I have here, I'd like you to take that card and just drop it back in there. Very good. Somewhere among those cards is your card. The card you are now thinking of and everyone else is thinking of. I'm going now to ask you the name of your card. And remember, you can lie or tell the truth, whichever comes easier. Whichever you prefer. This is your big chance to actually put the cards to the test. Now, every card has a first, a middle, and a last name. The first name of the card is like a queen, or a 5, or a 9, 10, whatever it is. Remember, you can lie or tell the truth. It's up to you. What's the first name of your card, please?
7.
7. I'll spell it out. Watch with me. Ses. That's S-E-V-E-N. Now, every card does happen to have the same middle name of U-V. Sorry about that. O-F. I stand corrected, which explains the orthopedic shoes, doesn't it? Anyway, 7 of, let's see, the last name of your card. Clubs, diamonds, hearts, or spades. It's up to you.
Hearts.
Hearts. By the way, do you prefer hearts or heart.
Hearts.
There is a difference of one letter there. Hearts, you said plural. Hearts. And now the absolute Truth. What is your card, please?
9 of hearts.
The 9 of hearts, ladies and gentlemen. The cards never fail. Let's take a look at our explanation to the lie detector. This is the small pack lie detector mystery. First, you ask your audience. There is no setup on the deck, so it is a standard shuffled pack. They can even shuffle them. You ask your audience if they've ever taken a lie detector test. Now, this is a nice thing. It's a good hook line that grabs them and grabs their attention. So now you continue. I'm going to ask you a few questions in a moment about a card that I'd like you to select. You can lie or tell the truth. Now you spell it out as you say that. You can lie, L-I-E, or tell the truth, T-R-U-T-H. Now what's nice about doing this is that you need 8 cards on the table. And by using that spelling, L-I-E and T-R-U-T-H, I now have 8 cards on the table. So there's a presentational way to get into 8 cards in front of you. I would now spread these cards and ask my audience to take any card they like. There it is. Rest of the deck is placed to the side. Audience remembers their card, whatever it might be. Now, to pull off what I am about to do, I need to get this card replaced 3rd from the top. How I do this is as I have the audience looking at the card, I give them a little bit of an overhand shuffle, mixing them up. I push off 2 cards casually as I hold these cards in a kind of a loose fashion in my left hand, and I'm going to catch a break under the top 2 cards of the pack. Once the audience has finished looking at their card, I now grab with my thumb this little break, and I just allow a few cards to drop. I say, if you would, place your card back here in the pack. And what I'm going to do is catch the break. So I now have 2 cards in my hand. Their card is replaced, and it looks as though I have just randomly dropped their card back in anywhere. Once their card goes in, I have 2 cards here, unknown to the audience. I just slap those down on top and drop those on the table. Your audience won't have any idea where their card is in the group. You now ask 3 questions, and these 3 questions concern the name of the selected card. You say, every card has a name, a first, a middle, and a last name. What was the first name of your card? In fact, remember, you can lie or tell the truth, whichever comes easier. Whichever you prefer. So there's a little tagline to go on. Whichever comes easier, lie or tell the truth. Whichever you prefer. So, the first name of the card would be a 3, a 4, a 5, a queen, a king, whatever your card is. Mathematically, here's how it's going to work out. I will reverse the card so you can see exactly what happens. Your card is, let's say they lie and say it's a 4. I would spell out 1, 2, 3, 4. Each time you deal these cards onto the table, you throw the rest of the pack on top. I say now every card has the same middle name, of. You can either do OF or OV, is what I usually do. OV, of. You throw the pack on top. By doing that second part, what it does is it automatically puts the selected card exactly in the middle. 4 here, and there is the selected card. You now continue to the last part. The last name of your card, was it diamonds, clubs, hearts, or spades? Now, once again, mathematically, it doesn't matter exactly what they say, except for one footnote on that. But let's say they say diamonds. First I ask, do you like diamond or diamonds? Do you like it plural or singular? It doesn't matter. I'll show you why. Let's say they say diamond. D-I-A-M-O-N-D. I'm still going to throw the rest of the cards on top. Notice, the queen is in the middle. Let's say they said spades, S-P-A-D-E-S. You throw, the card is still in the middle. Here's the only variation on this. If they say clubs, and you ask club or clubs, if they say plural clubs, C-L-U-B-S, it's right here, and then you throw. So it does stay in the middle. Club, C-L-U-B, when I throw the pack, of course, the queen would be on the top. We'll get back to this in just a moment. But in the normal circumstances, you spell S-P-A-D-E-S, you throw, and now you finish off by saying, and now the absolute T-R-U-T-H. What is the name of your card? Of course, this card will be face down, and when you turn it over, bang, whatever they said the card is, there it is. This works out mathematically perfect every time. Diamonds, D-I-A-M-O-N-D-S. And now the absolute truth. What was your card, actually? The absolute T-R-U-T-H. The Queen of Hearts? I thought so. So you can see how this works out each time. Remember, it needs to go third in. The first time you spell the name, let's say you ask the person's name and your spectator's name is Tom. This works out fine. What was the name of your card? A 4, a 5, maybe the name of your card is Tom. He says, yes, I like that. You say T-O-M, you throw it on top. That works just fine. Remember, the card was the Queen of Hearts. Remember, every card has the same middle name, O-F, of. And what was the last name of your card? Now, here's where you do it if they say clubs. You say clubs. Do you like club or clubs? Tom says club, C-L-U-B. And now, the absolute truth. What was the name of your card? The Queen of Hearts? I thought so. So there you have one method of doing the lie detector card trick. Be sure you watch the presentation over a number of times. This will help clarify this explanation. And be sure to experiment and do this. Keep the card turned over when you are working this so you can go through it and check all the variations, and you know that it will work when you do this. The lie detector. Well, I think it's time to have a card selected, if I could employ the help of the gentleman here. Excellent. Very good. Just take any one of those cards. Please take great care in not letting me see the card, of course. Remember it. Show it to everyone at home. Very good. And if you would just drop the card right back in the pack. That's perfect. Now, I'd like you to get a very strong mental picture of your card. First, if you would, think of the color of your card. Excellent. Now think of the suit of your card. Picture that in your mind. Perfect. And if you would now, the value. Terrific. By doing that in that order, of course, I have now gotten a perfect mental picture of what your card is. In fact, let's see. If I just look through the cards here, yes, I'm getting a very strong mental picture. In fact, I get the strongest impression that you chose a black card. It was a club, in fact, the 9 of clubs. Is that correct? No? No. I didn't think so. I thank you for your kind attention. I like to call this, what is he talking about? Because that will be the expression on your audience's face when you do the next revelation. This uses, of course, a simple key card. In this case, we will use the face card of the pack. I like to do an overhand shuffle when I shuffle these cards. And here's how you do it. Of course, overhand shuffle position is as follows. The cards are resting face down in your left hand. You will now pick them up from underneath with the right hand, and you will be drawing them off a little bit at a time as you shuffle the cards. This is the overhand shuffle. It is a very random looking shuffle. Now, here is a great thing. Once you have caught a glimpse of what this key card is, which is easy as you're shuffling, just look down at this steep angle and you will see it. And just a glance is all it takes. Remember, subtlety is important. Don't take a big long look at the card. You don't need that. As you do your overhand shuffle now, these fingers are going to go against that card and keep it there. This is called the milking action. In other words, you are sliding off that 5 of clubs, keeping it there as you draw cards away and throw them onto the top of the pack in a shuffling procedure. Now make sure that your vision is off to the side as you do this. As you shuffle the cards, you are just keeping that 5 there each time you strip it off with your fingers, holding on to it. Okay, that's the preliminary part of this. After you've given them a couple of quick shuffles, you spread the cards between your hands, ask for the audience to take a card out of the deck. They now do. While they're looking at it, you're going to give one more quick shuffle like this, stripping that card and making sure it's there. Once they have now looked at their card, you say, I will have you replace the card wherever you like. This time now you're not going to strip that 5 off. You are just going to pick up the entire group of cards, and your thumb draws off a number of cards like this. You've remembered your card, you ask? Yes, the audience will reply. And then there is the card, in this case the 8 of hearts. You ask for them to replace the card. They do, and there it goes. You ask for the card to be replaced, and there it goes on top of the pack. You now throw all of these cards, there is your key card, and that goes right on top of the selected card. The cards will seem extremely random and very shuffled to your audience without you having to actually verbally say anything. But remember, my 5 of clubs is right on top of their selected card. I would now proceed as follows. I would look at my audience and ask them first to picture in their mind the color of the card. I pretend to concentrate for just a moment and say, excellent. Next, would you think of the suit of your card? Perfect. And now finally, if you would, the value of your card. Excellent. I think now by you thinking of what your card is in that triple procedure, I have a very good picture in my mind of what your card is. I now pick these cards up, holding them toward myself, and all I want to do is catch a glimpse of what their card is. Remember, the selected card will be right in front of my key card. I continue right past, noting what that selected card is. Yes, I have a very good idea, you tell your audience. Now, I know the selected card was the 8 of hearts. I just put the cards on the table, pause for a minute. Let me see. Yes, in fact, I do believe there it is. Now I push that card up without the audience seeing it, and I draw it out and place it on the table. Now you are going to miscall the card completely. This will end up with a nice, humorous result. I would say, whatever that card is, I would say yes. I get a strong impression you chose a black card. It was a club. In fact, I do believe it was a picture card. The king of clubs? The audience will look at you with complete disbelief and say, no. You now grab the card and say, I didn't think so, and toss it on the table. There, it almost seems as though the card changes, plus it has a nice comedic result as you say, I didn't think so either, and toss it out. Now the part about what I call this card I just make up. I use a very extreme opposite. Like in this case, since it's a red 8, I would picture a black card, maybe a spade or a club, and definitely a picture card. As you are saying these remarks to your audience, they will look at you, maybe even shake their head. You chose a club, didn't you? And of course they will start shaking their head. You say, yes, in fact, I believe it was a picture card, the king of clubs, right? Of course, they can't help but say, no, I didn't think so, and there is a result. A nice, funny handling using the key card principle. That is, what is he talking about? I'd like to tell you a little story from the Old West. In the days of the cowboys and Indians, I just happen to have 4 cowboys on the table, 4 Indians, and these cards will be the mountain lions in our little story. So here it is out in the Old West. These 4 gentlemen were out one day crossing the desert. As night fell, of course, they moved into 4 caves just on the side of a hill for cover to get out of the elements. Turned out these 4 Indians, these gentlemen, lived in those caves as well. As night fell, they retired for the evening and went into those 4 caves also. Well, there happened to be 4 mountain lions out that night who traveled around and went into those 4 caves as well. About the middle of the morning, sometime very early, there was a thunder and showers. A big storm. This clap of thunder hit, a flash of lightning. Everybody could see everybody. They quickly ran out of those caves and bumped into each other and fell into a big pile. As everyone was scrambling to try to find their way around, people were going everywhere. The cats were scaring everybody. They were bumping into each other. They were jumping over each other. The gentleman here, you haven't had a chance to get involved. Would you cut the cards, please? Excellent. In fact, you know, those people and animals ran right in between each other, through and out the other side. Exhaustion suddenly hit the entire group, and they ran back into only 3 of the 4 caves. When the sun came up the next morning, it turned out that all the Indians were together in one cave, all of the mountain lions were together, and all the cowboys were together. Well, what do you know? Let's take a look at the Cowboys and Indians mystery. This is actually the first card trick I ever learned back in the 60s. My dad taught it to me. These 4 kings, I tell in my little story that those are the 4 cowboys. I have 4 tens. These can be either mountain lions in the story or the Indians, if you like. And of course, we have the 4 aces. So in this case, I'll call them, these are the cowboys, the Indians, and the mountain lions. By request. As the story unfolds, and I will deal these cards face up on the table, remember, in performance, you would deal them face down. Because all of these backs are absolutely alike, this will add to the mixed up nature of what's going on. But just for the first phase, I will show you these cards dealt face up. The 4 cowboys go into the caves. Now the 4 Indians. You would deal each of these on top. Remember, face down, of course. And now the 4 mountain lions. As the story continues, you tell that there was a loud flash of lightning and a clap of thunder. They all came out of the caves. Now, of course, you tell in your story that there was a loud clap of thunder. This caused everybody to come out of the caves. When you do this, you have to make sure that when you pile these up, you cannot push them together. That would randomize everything. You do need to pick these up in a random fashion, apparently, and it doesn't matter how you pick them up. You just need to pile them on top of each other. Now notice what has happened here. This is called a rotating order. We have 10 ace king, 10 ace king, 10 ace king, so on and so forth. Now, if the cards are cut like this, and completing the cut, this will not disturb that rotating order. Face up, you can see that I can cut the cards and mix them. You can even do this part of the mystery face ups, the cards face up, during the performance if you like, because it does look random. But you see, cutting the cards does not change a rotating order. King 10 ace, king 10 ace, king 10 ace, all the way down here, and then it continues around in rotation to the next king. So that is a very good thing, whether the cards are cut in the middle or even one card being cut. Now in your patter line, of course, you talk about how the cards, these characters, were bumping into each other, they were jumping over each other. You now even offer the cards to your audience to have them cut the cards. Make sure when you do, you watch the audience carefully that they do actually cut the cards, and then you can complete the cut if you like. Make sure they don't pick up a few cards, quickly they put them back, and they end up accidentally disturbing the order. You do not want that to happen. Now here is a nice touch on this. It looks as though you were going to shuffle the cards, but they really are not shuffled. You pick up about half of these cards and you turn them at a right angle to the pack. My left hand picks these cards up, and I'm actually going to shuffle the cards together. Your patter line is as follows. The cards these characters rather, ran even between each other. Now, when I push these through, you have to make careful and sure that they do pass through. You now regrip, pull them out, and pop them right on top, as if all of these characters ran even between each other. Now you're ready for the finale. You dealt them out into 4 piles the first time. Now you're going to deal them only into 3 piles, telling your audience that they went back into 3 of the caves. Let me deal them face up so you can see what's happening. Because of this rotating order, when you deal them back, they will go back just like magic. All the 10s, all the aces, all the kings, all the Indians, all the mountain lions, all the cowboys, back together. Remember, when you dealt these face down, of course, everything appeared random. And now this is the moment of magical occurrence. You turn these over, telling your audience in the morning, all the cowboys were together, all the Indians, and all the mountain lions. Have fun with this, try it, understand why it works, and enjoy doing it for your audience. I know the reaction you will get will be a terrific one. Ladies and gentlemen, for our next mystery in this extravaganza of card magic, I need to look into the future. And by the way, those of you who are wondering, the future happens to be a little bit over this direction, I do believe. You can adjust your television sets if you need to see that direction, but stay with me if you would. Great, I haven't scared you off. In the future, I see a gentleman over here. If you would approach the table, please. I need your help for this mystery. Excellent. I just happen to have a deck of cards. If you would give those cards a nice shuffle, right here, mix them up. I want to make sure that those cards are as randomly mixed as possible. No possible way I could have any connection with those cards other than what you're about to see. Excellent, thank you. Before I continue at this point, I'm going to make 2 predictions of the future. Watch my actions closely, if you would. I'm not going to change the order of the cards. I'm just going to look through the cards and make a couple of simple predictions. Let me see. I think I'll do, well, let's see here. This is kind of difficult. Now, that's a good one. Ooh, there's another good one. How about that? They happen to be side by side. My 2 predictions of the future. I'll leave those there where they do not go out of our sight. I have not altered the order of the cards. I have not done any rearranging of the cards. If you would, please take those cards and just deal a few cards into a pile on the table right here. You see, I don't want to use the entire deck. That would be far too many cards. In fact, why don't you take a few out of the center of the pack? Take a few off the bottom of the pack if you like. I want this to be a really, really random selection of cards. And when you feel you have enough cards on the table there, stop. It's up to you. That's enough? Mm-hmm. Excellent. We'll take these out of play completely. And if you would, take those cards and deal them back and forth into 2 piles, please. That's great. Now let's think about this for a moment. You shuffled the cards to your heart's content. Mm-hmm. In fact, I asked you to do that because I don't want later to say to yourself, gee, I wish I had shuffled those cards, maybe just a little bit more. So you're happy with the shuffle. You've taken cards off the top of the deck, off the bottom of the deck, out of the middle, a number of places. Here they are into two piles, dealt by your hand. I have two predictions of the future. Let's take a look and see what these two cards just happen to be. My goodness, how about that? Yes, I have looked into the future, and as you can see, my predictions match perfectly. Don't tell anyone how you did that. Please keep it a secret, okay? Thank you. Let's now take a look into the future. This mystery is a very strong mind-reading card trick that uses the following technique. You begin by having your audience shuffle and mix up the cards. They can shuffle the cards all they want. In fact, you begin and make sure you say, please shuffle those cards. I want you to be absolutely sure that the cards are truly mixed up as much as you want. Once they have done this and given the cards a lot of shuffles, ask if they are satisfied with the amount of shuffling they have done. Once they are, you now take the cards and you tell them, I am merely going to make two predictions of the future. Here is what is going on behind the scenes. Remember, you are emphasizing to your audience that you will not change the order of these cards or stack the deck or move anything around. You are just making two predictions. Here's what's going on. As I spread the cards between my hands, I am going to spot the top two cards of the pack and note what they are. In this case, a black ace and a red 9. Those are the two cards I now want to look for in the rest of the pack. Try to be subtle about how you glimpse these cards at the top of the pack, of course. A red 9 and a black ace. I now continue. These cards are facing myself, and I'm looking for, of course, the other black ace, the ace of spades it would be. I would now place this card to the side. That's prediction number 1. And now I'm going to look for the red 9. Well, it just happens to be here. And I would place that card to the side as well. Remind your audience, of course, that you have not rearranged the order of the cards, have I? No, of course not. I have merely made two predictions of the future. You now hand the deck of cards back to your audience, and you're going to ask them to deal some cards as you gesture, one at a time off the top of the deck onto the table. So if you would, please do that. Now, you allow them to deal at least the top two cards off onto the table, and now you would stop them and say, wait a minute, go ahead and stop for a moment. I'd like you to pull a few cards out of the middle of the deck, placing them on there wherever you like out of the middle. In fact, why don't you take a few cards off the bottom of the deck? Remember, as I'm demonstrating it here, these cards would be in the spectator's hands. They pull a few cards off the bottom. You emphasize, I want you to get a really random grouping of cards here. That's what your audience will believe. So they put as many cards down. You then ask them, is that enough? Great. Place these cards, the rest of the cards, off to the side if you would, out of play. Excellent. Now here's a quick checkpoint, and remember, these two cards over here, my predictions, match the two cards at the face here. But your audience just doesn't know that. They, in their minds, believe that this is a random grouping of cards. Plus, they don't know what the revelation is that is about to take place. At this point, you would then reiterate to your audience, you shuffled the cards as much as you liked, and you took cards from the bottom, the middle, the top, everywhere out of that pack, a random grouping of cards. Would you go ahead and take those cards and deal them into two piles back and forth? Your audience would now take the cards and just deal them back and forth into two piles. Notice that the bottom two, these last two cards, will be dealt on top of those two piles. Now you can give your audience a quick recap. They shuffled, they took cards at random. You have made two predictions. If you now would please turn over the cards, one on top of each of the piles. Your audience will now do this. You are now ready to really get them with a strong revelation. You pick up your 2 cards, looking at them yourself. You say, how about that? And now turn over one of them, dropping it on the ace, and the other, dropping it on the 9. How about that? Into the future I have looked. Now let's take another quick look at this and back up for a moment. When I am performing this mystery, there are a number of other things that could possibly happen during the course of this. That is the best case scenario. Let's say you have picked up the deck and, for example, you have maybe the 2 red 8s at the top of the pack, like this. What do you do now if those 2 cards are alike? Well, that's no problem. As you look across these cards, apparently making your prediction, and remember you don't let your audience see the prediction, you can just spread over to the side and you say, there's one, I'll take that card, and do these actions slowly so it doesn't look suspicious. Now remember, there's the other 8 on top, so you're in a perfect position. It's okay if you take it from this end. Now I'm going to be looking for the red 6. So now I would continue on. As I spot it, I continue to kind of look around it. I think that, no, let's try this one. Yes, that's perfect. So there's one way of handling the fact that maybe there were 2 cards alike together. Now you would continue. Of course, remember, emphasizing the randomness of this and completely keeping out of your dialogue anything about what is actually going on. They deal cards onto the table into a pile. They take some from the middle, from the bottom, so on and so forth as before. The rest of these cards go to the side. Now here's another possible thing that could happen. For example, let's say they start dealing the cards onto the table like this, and they start doing as follows. What you do need to do is pay very close attention to the audience and how they are dealing them, watching to see where those 2 bottommost cards end up. If they did, for example, this, I now know that those are my 2 important cards. So I would ask my audience to then, I would say, if you would just push one of the packs toward me. If they pushed this one toward me, I am ready for my revelation. I would discard these and proceed ahead. If I said, would you push one of the packs toward me, and the audience then pushed this one, I would now take that as if I had meant to do this and drop it away off to the side on the remainder of the cards. Those cards are now out of play, and I would say, here is the remaining pack, and now I would continue for my revelation. That's into the future. Experiment with this. I know you will find it to be one of your best card tricks. It has a terrific effect upon every audience I've ever done it for. I happen to bring 2 girlfriends with me today. Their pictures are right here on the table. These 2 queens are going to help us in this next little mystery. As I deal through the cards like this, I would like you to just say stop whenever you feel like it. The decision is up to you.
Stop.
Ooh, right there. There goes one of the ladies into the pack. I'll continue on, dealing quickly to try to get a strong impression from you when to say stop.
Stop.
Right there. Very, very good. You have said stop at 2 places, which are very easily signified by the exact positions of where I place those ladies into the pack. They are face to face, marking 2 distinct places. You know, it's going to be pretty incredible because the Queen of Hearts found her sister, the Queen of Diamonds, and, of course, the Queen of Spades. By the way, the rest of these cards, no, they're all different. They're not all queens. How about that? Coincidence or magic? You decide. Now, for our sister's card mystery, you need the 4 queens out of the deck to begin with. You would take a red one and a black one, one of these red ones goes on the face, one of the black ones goes on the top or the back of the deck. You are now ready to begin. These two cards, of course, are going to go in my shirt pocket over to the side. I can give the cards a shuffle at this point. Remember, there's a queen on top and a queen on the face. If I did a tabled shuffle like this, I would just make sure that the cards on the right-hand side where the one queen is go first, and then I would shuffle, and the last one goes on top. This way it appears as though you've randomly mixed the cards, but of course the top and bottom cards stay in place. So after doing that, you say, oh, by the way, in my pocket I have two cards. These two ladies are sisters, as you can see. Let's see. Now, you're going to proceed as follows. Remember which one of these is on the face of the pack. That's the red one. So I want the red one on the face of the group here. So you then continue as if you were making this up almost as you go. You would point to somebody and you say, please, how about you, if you would, as I deal through these cards, just say stop whenever you feel like it. As soon as the audience says stop, and it doesn't matter, the red queen of hearts is dropped onto the pack, and the rest of these cards now go on top of that red queen. Take a look, you can see that red queen now goes right on the face of that red queen. You're now ready to proceed for the black queen. Remember where the black queen started. She was on the top of the deck, and that's where you started dealing first. That means now the black queen is right here. You now continue. You would ask somebody over here, would you please say stop as I deal through the cards. Now, of course, they can stop anywhere. Of course, make sure they don't go so far as to run down past this card, of course. You can deal slowly if they seem to really be taking their time. But as soon as they say stop, you do. You now say, we'll place the Queen of Spades, her sister, a marker card, into the deck as well, and mark the position where you said stop. You're now ready for the revelation. You spread the cards wide on the table, pointing out the fact that this is exactly where one person said stop, and this is where another person said stop. And of all the possible places in the deck where they could have said stop, and if you like, you can show all of these cards. You say they must really have psychic powers, because you say you said stop right at the red Queen of Diamonds, and you said stop right at her sister, the black Queen of Clubs. Incredible. Coincidence or miracle? I really don't know, you tell your audience. There you are, the sisters. Here's an interesting phenomenon. It's called You Do As I Do. Well, I'm going to do some stuff, and I need somebody to be you. How about you? That sounds great. If you'd step in here and help me. 2 packs of cards, 1 for you, and of course, 1 for me. Let's see, to make this as fair as possible, would you take the red back cards and just give them a nice little shuffle, mixing the cards. That's perfect. Now, just in case either one of us is a card sharp, why don't we switch decks at this point?
Okay.
You can take the blue ones, I'll take the red ones, and we'll give them a little mixing once again. Perfect. And we'll switch the decks back again. That makes it very fair. I would like you to picture in your mind maybe your favorite card, or just any card if you don't necessarily have a favorite. Okay? But don't let me see the card. I am going to do the same here. Pick up your cards if you would, and kind of run through the pack with them toward yourself, and just draw out any card. Don't even show our friends at home. Just place it face down on the table. Excellent. Would you place the rest of the deck to the side? That's perfect. We have done the same. We have mirrored each other's actions. Remember what your card is, of course, your favorite card. You've got it in mind. Just pop it back onto the top of the deck. That's good. And if you would, cut the cards and complete the cut. In fact, if you would, just do that again just to be safe. Cut the cards and complete the cut. Do you have any idea where your card is in that pack?
No.
Of course not. Neither do I as far as mine is over here. We're going to switch decks again. This is the control in our little experiment. So with the blue deck now, if you would, just look through the cards and draw out the card, which is the card you are thinking of. I have done the same right here. Place that card face down without letting anybody see what that card is. Let's think about this for a moment. We have both shuffled the cards. In fact, we switched decks and shuffled the cards as well. You thought of a card, I thought of a card. We have, in other words, mirrored each other's actions. Grab a hold of that card and get ready to turn it over for everyone to see. On the count of 3. That's 1, 2, 3. How about that? An incredible coincidence or a miracle? You decide. This is one of the all-time great classic card mysteries using 2 decks this time. The cards are already shuffled, and we're going to have them shuffled again. What this is a coincidence, a magical coincidence type mystery. Your audience member gets 1 deck of cards, you get a deck of cards. Now this does use the key card principle, and this is important. So please follow closely. I would begin by shuffling my cards. The audience, of course, is freely shuffling their cards. And you want to emphasize this fact. Once we have shuffled our cards, I say, now, I want you to do as I do. Let's switch decks. The cards are switched. I now shuffle your cards, and you get to shuffle mine. This ensures, of course, that the cards are honestly mixed up. Now, at this stage of the game, when I have the audience member's deck of cards in front of me, I am going to catch a glimpse of the bottom card. I can do that in a number of ways. I can, once these cards have been both shuffled, I can just gesture. I say, you're happy with how many times you've shuffled those cards? Excellent. We would now switch the decks back again. So now we have both shuffled the decks, and we are both very happy with that. Your emphasis is on. I now know the face card of his pack. We now continue as follows. I would ask my audience to think of a card. Think of any card in the deck. I will do the same. Now, all it matters is what the audience's card, what they are thinking of. It doesn't matter what I'm thinking of over here, but it seems this way in the presentation. I would tell my audience to do the same as I am doing. Look through your cards and pull out whatever card you're thinking of. Now, I would proceed and just take a card up at random like this. My audience member sees a card sticking up out of the pack, and now they would do the same. Let's say, for example, they pictured the King of Hearts in their mind. If they did that, when they turned the cards over toward themselves, and you are watching them, if that's the card they're thinking of, they would immediately take it off. You now have a miracle in your hands because you already know what that card is that they are holding, and you could proceed by magically divining the card. You would just put that card back down and say, hang on, you're thinking of a card? And now I would merely pull the King of Hearts out of my deck, and now we are ready for a double revelation. That's the best case scenario. But odds are the audience is not going to be thinking of this card. So here's what they're going to do, and you're going to ask them to do. Draw out whatever card they are thinking of and just put it up like this. You are going to be seeing the audience's deck from the back. You would ask them to picture that card deeply in their mind. Pull out the card and place it on the table, and place the rest of the cards on top of their card that they're thinking of. Notice how it goes right next to that card. You as the magician are, of course, doing the same thing, but you are just faking the whole procedure. This is apparently the card I, the magician, am thinking of, and I do these actions which they mirror. Then I want them to cut the cards. They do so. I do so. Then they do so. And now we continue on. I say, let's switch the decks again. Presentationally, I would ask them to now look through my cards and pull out the card they are thinking of. I say, I am going to look through your cards and pull out the card I am thinking of. But that's not really what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for the King of Hearts. I now know that this is the card that they are thinking of. I leave it protruding. Over here, your audience member, they are completely unaware. They would look for their card. That's their card. They think this is my card. But remember the name of this mystery. You do as I do. Since we have mirrored each other's actions, we now have a revelation when we turn these over. Because look, we apparently thought of the same card. Now, of course, you can just draw the card out and place it on the table like this. Put these decks to the side and do it this way and say, grab a hold of your card. This is such a strong moment. They're now holding their card. I say, now remember, you just thought of a card. I just thought of a card. And look, turn your card over, at which point you both do that. And when those two cards are turned over simultaneously, you have an absolute psychic miracle on your hands. This is one of those card mysteries that your audience will remember for a very long time. You do as I do. Let's see if I can do this again in a different fashion. Here, let's see, there's, I think, 7 cards in each pile. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's good. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. And 7 more cards. With them face down, this will be just a little bit more amazing. I think you'll agree with me in just a moment. If I could have you just reach over in any one of these piles, just cut the pile wherever you like, and take a peek at the card on the face. Okay? Go ahead and do that if you would. Take great care not to let me see the card, of course. I promise not to peek. Now, take that pile of cards and drop it on either of the other piles, whichever pile you like. That one right there, excellent. And if you would, take either of these 2 piles, whichever one you like, and drop those cards on top of it. And go ahead and bury that card deep into that pack. So somewhere among all these cards is the card that you are now thinking of, the card that you cut and showed our viewing audience. Let's see, now if I remember correctly, I deal the cards into 3 rows, that's right, and then I ask you to look for your card and tell me which row it's in. I think that's how this goes. Now look across these rows if you would, and tell me which row do you see your card in. I apologize. I can't believe this. I dealt the cards face down. How stupid of me. That we'll have to start all over again. I'm very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. However, wait a minute. You know, if I was a real magician, I could just tell you what your card is. I get the strongest impression you're thinking of the 9 of Diamonds.
That's right.
How about that? I think it is real magic. Now this is the 21 card trick outdone. And let me show you this because this is terrific. It will truly fool everybody who sees it. You are going to proceed as though you are doing the 21 card trick. But you will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as before in one pile. In the second pile, 7 of course, and 7 more, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This mystery will really fool the person who thinks and of course knows the 21 card trick. You act as though you're trying to remember it. Here's what you do. After you've dealt these piles, you say, yes, let's see, I think it goes this way. In fact, if you would, just lift up on any one of these piles, you tell your spectator, any group of cards, and take a look at the card on the face and remember whatever it is. Okay? So now let's say the audience has reached over and picked up a pile of cards and remembers it. You, the magician, have not seen this card. Remember, they're looking at it. You now tell them to replace this pile of cards either on this pile or this pile. It doesn't matter which. They now drop those cards on there. You now ask your audience and tell them, would you now drop either these cards or those cards on top of there, burying it as well. It doesn't matter what they do. And if you would now bury it even further. Mathematically, by doing that, it makes their card exactly 14 from the top. If I count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, there is their card, the 6 of spades. That happens automatically. So, now you're going to proceed as though you're doing the 21 card trick. You still don't know what their card is as the performer. You say, that's right, let's see, I deal them into three rows of 7. That's right, 1. Now, as I deal these out, I'm going to be counting them to myself, and I'm waiting until I get to that 14th card. That's 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. When I get to this point, remember, you're counting to yourself. You're going to catch a glimpse of this card because that is their card. You pause quickly and you say, by the way, I'd like you to look across the piles and tell me when you see your card, and tell me which row it's in, if you would, okay? Now there will be a very pregnant pause at that moment because your audience is seeing all face-down cards. You have caught a glimpse of it, and you say, oh, gosh, wait a minute, that's wrong. Here, let me just push all these together. I did it wrong. Let me start over. Now you're ready for the killer ending. You just look at your audience and say, you know, if I was a real magician, I could just tell you what card you selected. Now you stare them in the eyes, and you divine the card. What was that? The 6 of spades. How about that? I guess I am a real magician. Well, let me see if I could have the help of... how about you? That's great. Excellent. Go ahead and pull a card out of there. Terrific, terrific. Remember your card. Show it around. Don't forget it. Perfect. And just go ahead and pop it right back there in the pack. Excellent. You're thinking of your card, of course. Mm-hmm. Wonderful, wonderful. You have it pictured in your mind. That way I can picture it in my mind. Excellent. Good, good, good. I think I have it. Yes, I do. Wonderful. In fact, here it is. Would you hold out one hand right in front of you there to receive the card? Take a look. Isn't that wonderful? There it is, the 9 of diamonds. You chose the 9 of diamonds,
No.
right? No?
No.
That's not it?
No.
The what? Here, why don't you just hang on to that for a moment? All I do is cast a shadow and take a look. Your card. I thank you. The what? You will ask your audience? Here is our explanation. It is a card selection and then a change of the card in the spectator's hand. Let me show you this very basic sleight first. I'll do it with half the deck because that's how you will do it in performance. One half of the deck will go to the side. Now in this case, that is the spectator's selected card. I pick up a double lift, 2 cards, with my thumb, and I will pick up these 2 cards above by this grip, holding them from above, and I will move the 2 cards to the right of the pack just slightly. Now I'm holding it with my index finger at the front. I'm putting slight pressure on the card so it gives it a slight bend, as you can see. The audience will see this different card and that different card, but they will have no idea, they should have no idea, their selected card is here. This now is called the Downs change, named after Thomas Downs, who invented it. As I turn this over to place apparently that card in the spectator's hand, what is going to happen is that my thumb with this finger as a guide, is going to draw this card back, so that actually the selected card will be deposited in their hand. So the change works like this. As this turns over, they will see the back of that card, and now apparently the 8 of clubs is in the spectator's hand. When they turn it over, there is the revelation. That is the downs change. This is what it would look like from this side. The thumb draws that back, leaving the card in the spectator's hand. So let's take a look at this from the top. I will use, in this case, the top card of the pack as my key card. I take a glimpse at it. You can do that by spreading the cards, catching a glimpse at this end, looking at an audience member and say, "You play cards?" Or, "Do you play cards?" You're just getting an acknowledgement from them, yes or no, whatever that happens to be. You're engaging your audience, but you are using that as an excuse to see what is the top card of the pack. Now, I turn the cards over. I ask them to select a card. They take one out of the pack. My King of Hearts is hiding here. They look at their card, whatever it happens to be. I now cut the cards and ask them to replace their card in the deck. Of course, it goes on top of that king. The rest of the cards can be dropped randomly on top to give it that little extra mixed nature. Now you can ask your audience to picture the card in their mind's eye. First, if you would, the color, excellent. Now the suit, perfect. And the value, terrific. I would now pick up the cards, holding them toward me so that the backs face the audience. That way they can't see what I'm doing. And I just run through the cards, looking, of course, for my King of Hearts. When I find it, I know that this is their selected card behind it. I take this group of cards and place them off to the side. This now allows me to get my double lift ready. I can do this by either squaring the cards back at this point, keeping a little break here, or I can merely tip the cards forward and lift up and do my double lift at this point. I prefer to have the cards spread with the backs toward the audience and do my little double squaring of these cards. I am holding my little break. I now tip the cards forward and say, yes, take a look. By you thinking of your card, there it is, the King of Hearts. Would you place your hand out in front? No matter what they say, you continue on. Would you place your hand out in front? They will. You now turn this over, performing the downs change as the king, in this case, goes into their hand. And when it goes into their hand, you can actually even pin that card down with a finger if you like, as you draw away underneath, getting rid of that king. You now push on that card in their hand and you say, isn't that incredible how I knew you were going to pick the King of Hearts? And when they say no, you say, no? The what? What was your card? And when they name it, you say, that's right, exactly as I thought. The card has changed right in the spectator's hand. When they say it was the Queen, you say, the what? Exactly. And there is your revelation. Well, I'd like to take you on a little trip with a deck of cards. Show you what I mean. I'd like to show you a mystery that goes just a bit further, or farther as the case might be, than most card tricks. The gentleman here to my left, if you would, just call out any number between, say 10 and 20.
16.
16, excellent number. I'll count down. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, most magicians would just give you that 16th card, let you look at it, but this mystery goes further than that. We'll take that number 16, which is a 1 and a 6, add those two digits together, we get 7, and we'll continue on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you would, just take a peek at the next card. Please remember that card. Excellent. Now, just by listening to the cards, I can tell what the selected card is. Let me listen here. Yeah, you hear that sound? I can tell already you chose a cherry-colored card, didn't you? That
No.
black cherry? Excellent, excellent. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry. In fact, I get the impression that it's a high-value card. A spade, the ace of spades. It was the ace of spades? Marvelous. You know, most card tricks would stop there, but this trick goes further than that. Let's see, ace of spades. There's A-C-E of spades, S-P-A-D-E-S. That's right, the ace of spades. You know, it's interesting. Most card tricks would stop there, but this trick goes further than that. I spelled out A-C-E, and here we have the aces. I said of spades, and here we have some spade cards. Look at that, a flush and spades. If you're a poker player, that's a very good hand. But you know, most card tricks would even stop there. But this trick goes one step further. All I do is wiggle the cards, which isn't magic, but I do it so well. And you see now I have a king, queen, jack, 10. Truly a royal flush in spades. And you must say, you cannot go any further than that. For our mystery that goes further than that, we use the following cards. The balance of the pack is here. I take a royal flush in spade cards. There's our ace that completes the royal flush. Of course, the 4 aces. And any 5 spade cards. It's best if they're not necessarily in numerical sequence. The first thing you're going to do is make sure you mark the ace of spades. As you look into our Card Force section of these DVDs, there is a section where I mention dotting a card. In this case, I use a little fine point marker pen, and I put a couple of little dots. You will want to actually maybe use the head of a pin, the end of a pin, and just put a little mark in the card. It needs to be something you can see, but your audience necessarily won't. We'll continue on. The setup now is as follows. On the top of the deck, you're first going to place the 10, jack, king, and queen. The aces now, with the ace of spades at this position, go next on top of the deck. That's 4. Now you have 5 more cards. Now here's an important aspect. We're going to do a variation of the 10 to 20 force on this. In this case, the card that we're going to force is, of course, the 9th card down from the top. This is important. It's not the 10th card down, as in the 10 to 20 force. But since the card has the little dots in the back marking it, there's no problem. You'll see what I mean. I begin by giving the cards just a basic false cut on the table, as if I am unconcerned of the order of the cards. And since your pack of cards that are stacked, so to speak, is only this thick, there isn't much to worry about at the back of the pack as far as mixing them up accidentally. I give the cards a Hindu shuffle from the face. I now address the audience and tell them that I have a mystery that goes further than most card tricks. Let's see, I would then ask somebody to choose a number between, say 10 and 20. Now in this case, the numbers do actually need to be between 10 and 20. So you're going to now do the force. And you would ask somebody, name a number. Let's say they say 12. That makes it simple. I now count from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I would continue on by pattering the fact that most times a magician would take this card, let you look at it, but this mystery goes a step further. I now place the balance of the pack to my left where I can keep track of it. Scooping up this packet, I acknowledge the fact that the number 12, which they just freely chose, is made up of a 1 and a 2. Add those together, of course, we get 3. So I continue on, 1, 2, 3. Now the force card is right here. So after I have dealt 1, 2, 3, I just continue, take that card off the pack, and say, would you please take a peek at that card? Of course, as I turn my head away from the audience as if not wanting to see. Of course, remember, that's going to be our force card, the Ace of Spades. The audience sees that. Notice how I continue in this procedure. That ace drops onto the tabled cards. I have just forced that card. I now drop the rest of the pack, which is in my hands, on top of that. And now I scoop the rest of this up and it goes onto the tabled deck. First thing I do now is I divine the selected card. And I usually proceed as follows. Since it is the black card, the Ace of Spades, I say, as I listen to the cards, the sound of the cards tell me you chose a cherry-colored card. Now this is a setup for a little joke because everyone will think of that, and as soon as you say cherry-colored card, they will think red. And of course, they'll look at you with that puzzled look in their eyes. You listen one more time. You say, I'm sorry, black cherry, correct? That always gets a smile from your audience. You now continue a little bit further as you listen. Spade, a high value card, the Ace of Spades. There's impact number one. You have just divined the selected card. You now place the cards on the table, smile, and say, you know, most card tricks would stop there. But this trick goes further than that. Ace of Spades. Let me spell that out. A-C-E of Spades, S-P-A-D-E-S. The Ace of Spades. Now, by that setup that we had at the beginning, this just works out automatically. It's a mathematical wonder. And you notice A-C-E, Spades, because there were 5 spade cards, the ace ends up being the S in Ace of Spades. The comfort zone is that you can see the little mark that you put on that card, so you know you're okay. You can even, when you deal these out, let's see, that was A-C-E of Spades, S-P-A-D-E-S. Yes, there it is, the Ace of Spades. There's punch 2 in this. You have divined the card, now you have spelled to that card. I now address the audience once again. You know, most card tricks would stop there. Now, because of the repetition of this line, it makes it even a little bit funnier, and your audience gets another chuckle. You acknowledge that you spelled out ace, and here we have the aces of spades, and here I have some spade cards. Yes, look at that. The Ace of Spades. Now, this is your last line that you're about to use as far as saying this goes one step further. You say, now that's pretty nice and everything, but you know, this trick goes further than that. In fact, all I have to do is give the cards a little wiggle, just like this, which isn't magic, but I do it so well. And we now have one step further that we go. There's our Ace of Spades, and here we have a royal flush in spades. And if you were a poker player, you know you can't go any further than that. And that is the final punch in this mystery with the cards. Go back through this, do the setup. When you force the card using that 10 to 20 force, remember it's a variation because the Ace of Spades is actually 9 down. You can spot that little dotted card, so you'll know when to turn it over. Watch how I replace the packets, and the audience can choose a 19, they can choose 11, 15, whatever. It all works out mathematically. I know you will enjoy doing this mystery for your audience because it does have multiple climaxes along the way. I thank you for your kind attention. It's time now for a lie detector test with a deck of cards. And here they are. Let's take a look at this. The gentleman to my right, if you would, I'd like you to just take any card out of the deck there you like. Please take care not to let me see the card. That's perfect. Please remember your card. And you've shown it to everybody? You have done that already. Great. Just pop it right back into the pack. I'm going to mix these cards just a little bit as you think of your card. And remember and think of whatever that card is. You have it in mind? Mm-hmm. Perfect. I'm going to ask you 3 questions about your card. to which you can lie or tell the truth. You can lie some of the time. Well, we'll see what happens. First, let me ask you, was your card a red card or a black card? Now remember, you can lie or tell the truth. It's up to you.
Black.
It was a black card. Let me spell out black. B-L-A-C-K. The value of your card, was it above a 7? Was it below a 7 in value? Or was it a 7?
It was a 7.
It was a 7. S-E-V-E-N. Now you did say your card was a black card, so that means it was either a spade or clubs. Which one was it, please?
Spade.
Spade. S-P-A-D-E. Now, if you would, tell the absolute truth. What was your card?
Jack of Hearts.
The Jack of Hearts. Incredible. He was lying, but you know the cards always win right out. The lie detector. This is the explanation to our lie detector routine, second routine using the entire deck, all at once. Here's how it happens. You need to have a card selected, of course, and there is a little bit of a setup in the top of the deck. I take my one marked card, in this case, the Ace of Spades, has a little couple of dots on it so I can keep track of it for easy location, and I need to put 13 cards on top of it so that the ace will end up being 14th from the top. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You're now ready to perform. You would spread the cards out and ask for a card to be selected. I always keep my hand on top of the pack like this. That allows me to keep track of these cards and not have anyone pick one of these. Select a card if you would. The audience does, in this case the 5 of Spades. While they are now looking at this card, whatever it happens to be, I start spreading the cards between my hands and I'm looking for my little dotted card. As I casually do this, once I find it, I look up at the audience and say, "Oh, you've had a chance to remember your card? Excellent." They now drop the card in and you throw those cards on top. Now the selected card is 15th from the top. This is important because mathematically it's all going to work out. I now address my audience and say, of course, I'd like you to either tell the truth or lie, whichever you prefer. This is your big chance to see if you can mess with the cards a bit. You see, the cards know all of this stuff far better than I, and we cannot even mess up the cards. I'll show you what I mean. Lie or tell the truth. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Was your card a red card or a black card? Now let's throw in the scenario that they lie about every aspect of what the name of this card is. Remember, it was a black card that was selected, the 5 of Spades. So the audience member says, it was a red card. I would then spell red, R-E-D. I continue on. The second question is, was your card above a 7 in value, below a 7, or is it a 7? Now, think about this for a minute. There's 3 letters. That's 3. When I asked this question, was it above a 7 in value, below a 7, or was it a 7? Those 3 words, above, below, or 7, all have the same number of letters in them, 5. Let's say they say above. You say above a 7 in value. A-B-O-V-E. Now you continue on. To make this work out mathematically, if the person said red, you continue on and say, you told me it was a red card. That means it was either a diamond, singular, or hearts. That's said plural. If they say diamond, you spell it out, singular, D-I-A-M-O-N-D. Now, since I marked that card, it's very easy for me to remember because I can see that marked card drop to the table. I now know that I have the next card in my hand, which mathematically it just works out, the selected card. After I've spelled these out, I now continue and say, now, the absolute truth, what was your card? The audience now will respond. Boom, I turn it over. the deck has not failed at all the selected card. Let's take a look at another scenario. Let's say they tell the truth. What was the color of your card? Was it red or black? Black. So you spell it out. B-L-A-C-K. Was the value above a 7, below a 7, or was it a 7? Below. B-E-L-O-W. You did say your card was a black card. That means it was either a spade or clubs. Notice how I say that. Spade, clubs. Singular, plural. There's a certain amount of letters in each one of those, so it works out mathematically. Clubs. C-L-U-B. There's the marked card. S. If they had said a spade, S-P-A-D-E, and you would turn it over. This little mark on the card works out perfectly each time. So remember, the most important aspects are, if they say it's red, you then need to continue. You told me it was a red card at the beginning. That means it was either a diamond or hearts. If they say black at the beginning, you do need, for the mathematics to work out, be consistent. You said it was a black card at the beginning, so it was either a spade or clubs. Which was it? So those are the two aspects that are important, the first and the last. The thing in the middle is always going to be consistent, above, below, 7. Those have 5 letters in them. So there you have a very simplified version of the lie detector deck. Watch the performance again, play with it, using that little marked card, 14 down, and you'll have a lot of fun with this mystery. For our next following mystery, or our following next mystery, for those of you keeping track, a deck of cards and the help of a gentleman from the audience here, I would like to show you that you have untapped mental powers. You can see the future. Let me show you what I mean. If you would, just give the cards a quick shuffle, a little mixing. I want you to know that these cards are truly random. That's great. Perfect. Let me take a peek at these cards here, if you don't mind. I am going to place a couple of cards on the table. Let's see. That looks like a good one. There's a red card, and maybe that one there. That'll be a good one. That's a black card. Perfect. I'm going to draw cards out of the pack here one at a time, like this. Without showing you these cards, I want you to decide psychically, is it a red card or is it a black card? Depending upon what you say, I will, of course, place it on either of these two piles. Mm-hmm. What do you think this is?
Red card.
A red card. Very good. I'll place it right there. Let me look through here. I have another one. Which pile?
Black.
Black. Very good. Let's see. Let me find another good one here. That's a good one. How about this? Red or black? What do you think? Black. And one more.
Black.
Black. And we'll try this again.
Red.
Red. How about another one?
Let's go red.
Red. Very good. In fact, why don't we stop at this point and we'll kind of switch midstream here. That'll just kind of juice things up a little bit. Why don't I place a black card now on this pile and say a red one over here. In fact, why don't you, I'll just set the cards on the table. Why don't you take a card without looking at it and kind of decide to yourself, what do you think it is? Red or black? Actually, you know, it would probably be best, don't look at the cards. Don't look at them. In fact, just go ahead and just take it off there like this and just try to reach out, not with your sight, but your insight. Okay? And without looking at it, place it on either of these two piles. Very good. Go ahead and do that again with the next one. That's great. And one more time. Don't let anyone see it there on the screen. Go ahead and do a couple more. Very good. Very good. And a couple more, please. Now, you see, I do believe you have the power, as incredible as this may seem. You see, when you look at these cards in these two groups like this, you have designated, for example, that these cards, where they are stacked, are red, according to these marker cards. Similarly, you have figured that with these marker cards, these would be black and these would be red. Let's see how you did. You started over here with these, and as you can see, you did very well. At this point, of course, at the beginning, what we were doing was I was looking at the cards and sending a message to you. So it might be the fact that maybe we were working together somehow. But after that, you did it all on your own. And here it is. Take a look. All on your own, you were able to tell and separate, without even looking at the cards, the colors. You have psychic ability, I do believe. Please, use your powers for good. Please use your powers for good. Here is an old classic card mystery that is absolutely wonderful for an audience. When you would perform this mystery, of course, is maybe not during a show, for example, but after you have won over your audience and now you're in a very conversational mode and the audience is eager to see anything you want to show them. So this is a very nice psychic type of card trick. Here's how you proceed. The cards can be shuffled by your audience. And now what I do is I draw out a couple of cards, one red and one black. Notice how I've spread to the top portion of our pack. And this is very important in this explanation phase. What I do is I do a kind of a quick sizing up. What do I seem to have more of, black or red cards here? Now in this case, at a quick glance, it seems to be about even, so to speak, maybe, but rather than count them out, what I will do is I draw out a black card, place that in front of me on the table, and then I'll take a red card from, say, farther down. Now what I do is I'm in the first phase going to be holding the cards facing me. Your audience would not see these faces at this point. I will now apparently be drawing cards out at random. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull out all black cards. I'll draw out a black card because I'm going to clear out the black cards in this upper grouping of cards. In this case, now what I'm doing is I'm asking my audience, do you think psychically that this is a red card or a black card? I will place this card on top of either of these, whichever you signify. So let's say they say black. Okay, that works fine. Now remember, this is a black card going on to this black pile. So later on, this is the pile that you do not have to switch. This one you will have to do the switch on. You continue on. I just keep pulling out black cards. And the audience will keep saying either red or black. It doesn't matter what they say. What do you think it is? Now, this is where you have to act it up and act as though you're really putting on the psychic power, so to speak. I'm sending you the special signal here, whether you think it's red or black. Notice as I'm doing this, and they are calling out red or black, I am actually thinning all the black cards out of the top of the deck. This is very important. Remember, I'm putting them wherever the audience signifies. Once I have cleared out quite a number of them, and there's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let me clear one more out. Once I have done that, I now turn the pack over, and I tell my audience that we're going to shift gears a little bit. Now what I do is I push these cards onto the pile, so those cards below are relatively hidden. And now I say we'll switch. I will place a red card now here on top, and a black card goes over here. So we have now kind of switched midstream. Now at this phase, since I have stripped out all the black, and this is nothing but red cards, I would hand the deck to my audience member and say, now without even me looking at the cards, I want you to now try to figure out psychically what these cards are and where they should go. Are they red? Are they black? So your audience will do this. If they go too fast, slow them down because you don't want them to run through the entire pack. You just let them go a little bit here. And once they've done no more than about 12 cards, have them stop. You take the rest of the deck and just place it off to the side. Now remember over here, these are actually black cards in one of the piles, not this one. These are black, and these are red, matching these two. You push this pile up, and now you pick up this pile, and here's how you're going to do the switch, because what I have is actually black cards with the red marker card and red cards with the black card here. So now as I separate these in my hands, like this, I would put the 2 on top and place this down, or keep it in my right hand rather, and I would take the ace and talk about, we had separated the cards red and black. Now, when you do this, this is not the card I want to switch. As I gesture and talk for a moment, I replace that bottom card on top and place this off to the side, scooping this up. That red one goes there, this black one goes here. We now have somewhat of a consistency. I have made my little switch presentationally. I am now ready to show that the audience's psychic powers are extremely clean and that all of these cards, of course, match. Now, for dramatic purposes, as you turn them over one at a time like this to let the impact really sink in. And of course, you gesture here once again, and in this other pile, where all you had to do was switch one card from the end of the pack to the other, and these match perfectly. So there you have a very nice psychic card revelation. Your audience has apparently done all the work so that they get the pat on the back. It shows the psychic ability that they have. So your audience member becomes the star. You're not the star. You don't need that. Of course, you caused the miracle to happen, but it seems as though the audience did it, so they get the big star on their card. That's a very nice little fun mystery. Perform it for your audiences, and I know they will enjoy it. Please use your powers for good. There it is, 52 friends of mine. I also have one extra card embedded in my chest. Let me grab it out here. There we go. Excellent. Boy, look at that. It's all warped up and everything. That's okay. I'm warped too. I just make this stuff up as I go. No problem. I'm going to put that card into the deck about halfway down. Remember, I'm not going to tell you what it is, let you see it. But you notice it does stand out in the crowd if you look at it from the backside. Now, as I mix through these cards, I'd like you to take a peek at those. You can see they're all different. Now, that card that I added, of course, with the blue back, could be that 10 of hearts right there. It might be the 6 of spades right there. It could possibly be the 2 of hearts. What I will do is spread the cards out. And if you would, reach out, touch any card your heart desires. The Queen of Hearts, an excellent choice. I notice you didn't hesitate or anything. Now, if that card right there is the one with the blue back, we have a nice little miracle on our hands. And you can see it is. Very well done. By the way, what's very interesting too is all I have to do is take that little Queen of Hearts, place her right here, give a little rub. This causes a transference of ink, and each and every card in the group changes just that quickly. Kind of gets you right there, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it really
It does. I thought you'd like that. Let's take a look at the color-changing deck. This is a simplified handling of this great little mystery. Of course, I use a blue deck of cards. Take one card from a red deck, which is easy to get because you're going to need a red box to go with it. Place aside the red deck, the remainder of the red cards. One card, any card from the blue deck, will be placed into my shirt pocket. In fact, I always have it in my coat shirt pocket and tell my audience I have another card embedded in my chest, just for humorous purposes. On with our mystery. This red card goes on top of the blue deck. This goes into the box. We are ready now to amaze and astound. Introduce the cards. keep the red box somewhere, of course, visible on the table for your audience, because you want them to be soaking up the fact that red, red, red. Although never verbally say, I happen to have a red deck of cards. I have my pack of cards. You casually show the faces of the cards. And as you mix through the cards, you are going to use a Hindu shuffle, which is gripped like this. And of course, you will be pulling cards off. Now, in the course of this Hindu shuffle, I will turn this pack face up. My hand revolves palm up, in other words. And as I use it as a gesture, an arrow, so to speak, talking about the various cards in a pack. This is a standard pack of cards with all 52, the hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. Oh, by the way, now you say that as almost an afterthought, turning the deck backs up once again. Reach into your pocket and pull out this other card, placing it face down on the table. Now what I do is I tell my audience, I am not going to show you the face of this card. In other words, you're drawing attention to what it is, not the backs. That's the subtle aspect. I now say to my audience, you'll notice, of course, it comes from a different pack of cards. There's another subtle statement. I'll place it about halfway down into the pack. Make sure, of course, you do not flash the face of this card to the audience. That is very important. This is a nice point because they get to see the contrast of the different colors. Into the pack it goes. Pack turns face up. You now Hindu shuffle again. This time what I do is I Hindu shuffle by pulling off about half of the cards. I don't pull any at the back. You can now shuffle cards off, and I can turn this hand over and use it as a pointer. See, now the card I might have added to the pack is the 3 of clubs, or possibly the Jack of clubs. Notice this allows this red back, once again, to be absorbed in the audience's eyes. Drop this pack on. You might even pick up the box and adjust it, placing it over to the left side of the table. Another subtle touch. Now you are going to do the Hindu shuffle by grabbing the cards at the back where that red back is. You will now pull off in a standard Hindu shuffle and turn this over. The card I added might be the Queen of Spades, or possibly the 7 of Spades, maybe even the 10 of clubs. You don't want to overdo this fact. It's just a nice subtle reminder. You spread the cards between your hands face up, and in a moment you say, I will spread the cards once again face up. Notice where they are now. And you can touch any card you like. Now, ribbon spread them on the table. And of course, this one card at the very top of the pack back here, your audience cannot touch. So I place my 2 hands on the table, guarding the 2 ends. I now ask them to feel free to touch any card in the pack. Now, of course, they can touch just any card. This is a moment now of magical occurrence. These cards are squared, placed face down on the table with that one red back showing. I tell my audience, if this is the card I added a moment ago with that odd colored back, and it is, we now have quite a miracle. This is a very important moment. Don't rush the fun. Allow the audience to absorb that. Now you're going to pick up this pack and continue on. In fact, that card is so magical, all I have to do is transfer. Notice I place this card out jogged on the top, and now as I draw this card back, I use my index finger at the top and I square that back onto the pack. Draw this card off. I say we rub it like this. This causes a transference of ink. And here now is the grand finale. A ribbon spread on the table. Boom. That's the climax to our mystery. I usually now pick up the box and say, gee whiz, I'm going to have to go buy another box. There you have it, the simplified color-changing deck. Have either of you been working on time travel recently?
No.
Excellent, excellent. I've been working on that recently, and I'm going to do it here. Well, you know, we could use any of the cards in the deck. If you'd like to shuffle the cards, you can feel free to do that. However, we are on a very tight schedule, so maybe I'll just go from here. I am going to use the top 2 cards of the deck. Those 2 cards right there. Let's take a quick look and see what they are. The Jack of Hearts. The Jack of Hearts is a very helpful card. I will place that card halfway into the deck and push that card all the way in. Now the next card on top that we will use also is the 5 of Hearts. Remember, the Jack of Hearts and the 5 of Hearts. Here's the 5 of Hearts. The 5 of Hearts now takes the same place where the Jack of Hearts was a moment ago. But let's go back in time. Moments earlier, the Jack of Hearts was in that position. And there he is now. And you remember the 5 of Hearts? Mm-hmm. I had not even introduced him to you yet. That's what I like to call time travel.
I guess.
By the way, if you were to take off your shoes, run through the deck of cards, you would find that there is no other 5 of Hearts or Jack of Hearts in that deck, which proves another miracle has just slipped past us. Well, I'd like to ask you about time travel. There's the question that will pique your audience's curiosity for the mystery I am about to explain. What's really nice about this is the deck is, of course, completely unprepared. You could even begin by asking your audience, would you give those a shuffle for me? This is a very subtle way of telling them, look, those are just cards. In fact, if you do this with a spectator's deck of cards, it's an even better mystery. But here we go. Yeah. Have you experienced time travel recently? I now just click the top 2 cards together. This is a get ready for my double lift. Once I do this, that says, subtly, 2 single cards. As I square these 2 cards onto the deck, I, of course, affect a little finger break at the back of the pack. I can now do my double lift. I take the top cards, 2 cards, turn them over and say, please keep your eyes focused on the King of Hearts, whatever that card happens to be at the time. The King of Hearts I'll begin with. Remember, you want to leave the card face up to burn that image in the audience's mind. Yeah, I have a King of Hearts. The King of Hearts will go into the middle of the pack. Now, this is X card. This is the unknown card. This is a card the audience will never see, so blot the 9 of diamonds out of your mind. This card now, apparently the King of Hearts, goes into the deck, halfway down. You leave it halfway out for a moment, and then push it flush. I say now the next card, and you'll notice how I do my little get ready over here as I'm pushing this top card off, which is the King of Hearts. I have my little get ready here. I say this one card is a 7 of Hearts. A King of Hearts, a 7 of Hearts. The 7 of Hearts will place him about halfway into the pack, just about where the King was a moment ago. Let's go back in time. At this point, you instantly stop it with a very sharp edge to that. Slide this card out, turn it over, there's revelation number 1. Remember, moments ago, the King of Hearts was protruding from the front of the pack. And do you remember the 7 of Hearts? Why, I had not even introduced him to you yet. And there is the climax to our mystery. So, whirlwind fast review, double lift, show the King of Hearts. That goes into the end of the deck and squared. I say my next card, which just happens to be the 7 of Hearts. That goes in, that was another double lift. Boom, we stop at this point, turn it around, there's the King of Hearts and the 7 of Hearts. I had not even introduced you yet. That's time travel. Are either of you card players? Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry. If you would give the cards a cut, a little brief mixing, something like that.
Can I do it 3 times?
That's fine, whatever you like.
Sure.
Excellent. Would you like to cut the cards? I just want you to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, which is very tiny, I measured one yesterday, that these cards are truly mixed. Let's see. I know. If you would, go ahead and pull a card right out of there. Take great care not to let me see it. I will turn my head. Please show the nice lady right here. Excellent.
Put it back.
Commit it to memory. No, not yet, not yet. Now don't be getting ahead of me on this. If you would, let's see, drop it about right there. That's good. In the meantime, what I'd like you to do is think of a number. Make it a simple number, say between 5 and 10. Okay? I will give the cards 30, 40,000 cuts. Thanks for not keeping count. I appreciate that. The cards have come to a halt at this point. Would you reveal for the first time your number, please?
7.
7. If your card is 7 from the top, that would be a heck of a mystery. Would you like to change your choice at the last moment?
No.
No. A woman who knows her mind. I like that. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, if that is your card, be a heck of a mystery, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And there it is, your card, the 9 of diamonds. Is she smiling? She's not
Yes,
smiling.
she's smiling. She fooled you.
Yeah, it's not the 9 of diamonds, so you're kidding me. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Don't have no fear. Have no fear. This happens to me more often than I hope. You know, I also have another deck of cards here. It's right here, and it's invisible. There it is. Excellent. It's invisible. I'll count down 7. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there it is. Your card. Isn't that terrific?
That's good.
Plain as a nose on my face. King of clubs, right? I mean, it's plainly obvious to me. The king of clubs. Can you see that out there? I didn't think so. But you know what's interesting is I can find it in the invisible deck every time. But now if I cast a small shadow across these cards in a sympathetic and magical reaction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it is now
No way.
at the 7th
How
position.
did you do that?
I thank you for your kind and courteous attention.
That is great.
For our next mystery, you will need a regular standard pack of cards and an invisible deck of cards. If you don't happen to have an invisible deck of cards, just imagine one. Excellent. We're on our way. This is a nice handling of a standard pick a card trick that just isn't standard. Any card is selected from the deck. In this case, we'll use the 6 of hearts. That card is controlled to the top of the deck. Using a break, I cut small packets to the table. Now, of course, you can reference this particular handling in detail elsewhere on this fine DVD. The card is controlled to the top of the pack. Of course, your audience has no clue as to where the card is in the pack. Now address your audience and ask them to choose a number, for example, between, say, 5 and 10. By saying it in those words, it makes it sound as though it just come to mind at that moment. This is important. Spontaneity, easy for me to say, is an important aspect of any performance with cards. Let's say they say 8 to make it simple. I count now. Remember, this is the selected card on the top of the pack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You slow down a little bit and put the 8th card forward. Now, of course, that is not the selected card. But now I scoop these cards up and use them as a pointer. And I'm going to catch a glimpse of this card very subtly from the back. I use these and I gesture and I tap. I say, wouldn't it be incredible if that were the selected card? Now, of course, your audience will agree. You turn this over, and of course it isn't. You are now crestfallen. The audience believes maybe something wrong happened here. He said, that wasn't it. Well, don't tell me. Don't tell me. You want to make sure you quickly urge them. Well, don't tell me, because somebody may blurt out, oh no, it was my card, the 6 of hearts. You don't want that to happen. So you stop them, you say, wait a minute, I apologize. Gosh, it wasn't at the 8th position, was it? I remember I happen to have an invisible deck of cards. Now reach into your pocket wherever you like, pull out those cards. Be sure you joke about making sure you pull them out of the box. You can even ask your spectator to hold the box if they like. Or just place it to the side. Remember, you already know what the spectator's card is. In this case, it's the 6 of hearts because I caught a glimpse of it. I now deal very carefully onto the table, counting one at a time, and there it is, the 8th card. Now I hold up my invisible card, showing it to everyone, looking right in their eyes, and then I look at the card myself and say, incredible, that's it, isn't it? Of course, the audience will look at you with disbelief, like maybe you're nuts. I then glance at the card, turning it toward myself apparently, and I say, of course, the 6 of hearts, right? That is your moment of magical occurrence. The audience's faces, you will love their expressions, will have complete surprise. Allow that moment to absorb in, place the apparent invisible card back, put them in the box, hand those to a spectator and say, you can keep those as a souvenir, by the way. Oh, this deck? Let's take a peek. You can now hand this deck to an audience member and say, if you would, just count down 8 cards now. You see, whatever happens to my invisible deck also happens to my visible deck. In sympathy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Remember, how this card got here is by the reverse count of these cards at the beginning. You see, it was on top. I dealt the cards onto the table. I'll leave this reversed just for clarity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I dealt that card up here. Now, this is when I caught my glimpse of this card, because of course it would be here. And when I place that back, and then this card goes on top, that 6 of hearts is now 8 down, or whatever number the audience chooses. You reveal the invisible card, and now you are ready once again to count 8 cards. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Turn that card over. Accept your round of applause. This time I think I'd like to have 2 cards selected, if you wouldn't mind. You're not too busy right now, are you?
no.
Excellent, thank you. There they are. I'd like you to take any one of the cards you like. Go ahead, just reach out there. Terrific. One card I will find the hard way, and one card the easy way. And if you would be so kind to indulge yourself as well. Terrific. Go ahead and compare notes. Show the cards to everybody. This may take a while. There's a lot of people. Oh, you did it. That's fast. You're very fast. I like fast women. That's a good thing. Would you place your card right about there? Excellent. One card goes into the deck. I give the cards a brief mixing. In fact, what I'm going to do is bury your card just a little bit deeper. As I mentioned, one card the hard way, one card the easy way. And now the easy way. That saves a lot of time. How about the hard way? Watch closely. All I do is give the cards a riffle. And right to the fingertips at the speed of light.
Huh.
I think I hurt myself. Ooh. Well, one the hard way and one the easy way. This is one of my quickie favorites when it comes to card magic. I think you'll see why. Of course, this is an offering of 2 cards selected. In fact, I like to say, let's make this twice as hard on the performer today. We'll have 2 cards selected. They are, of course, honest, free selections. Reiterate to the first person, I will find your card the hard way, and yours the easy way. The cards are remembered by your audience. The magician turns his head away to make sure he doesn't get a peek. One card now goes back to the pack. Make sure you show everybody who is watching when you have a card selected. Into the pack it goes. I now use a simple card control. If I am standing, and this without a tabletop, and this is a perfect mystery for that, I then do a double undercut of the cards, bringing the selected card to the very top of the pack, turn them face up, and then do a Hindu shuffle off. Hindu shuffle, of course, of half the pack. That keeps the selected card, in this case the 2 of hearts, right in its place. I then remind my audience, remember what I said, I will find 1 card the hard way and 1 card the easy way. If I am standing up when I do this, I ask a spectator to hold out a hand. Otherwise, I would just pick up this card from the spectator or off the table, wherever they have placed it. I turn it over, slap it to the table, and say, that's the easy way. Pause a brief moment, and you will get a laugh. I then say, that saves a lot of time. Push that card off. And under the cover of this, you are now going to do as follows. I'm going to palm this card off the top of the pack into my right hand. The top palm, which is explained in detail in another portion of this DVD. Of course, remember my little finger and the thumb is where the action comes in. I push off and I rock forward. That card goes into my right hand, held mostly by the little finger and at the fork of the thumb. And now the hard way. I palm the card off the top of the deck. My left hand rotates and takes this pack away to the left, bringing my hands far apart. I riffle this corner, and this card snaps at the right fingertips, as if the card jumped through the air and was caught. At full speed, just like that. You make your vision, your face, because the audience will be looking at you at the time, your eyes and head are to the left, and then as your head moves quickly to the right, this card is now snapped into view. These fingers reach over like this, and snap right out it goes. 1 the hard way, 1 the easy way. A fine little card revelation. Let's see here. Now I'll give the cards a real shuffle. That's great. If you would, cut the cards into 4 piles, just like that. Relatively equal piles, not just 3, not just 2, but 4. This will be terrific. Excellent. Very good. Perfect. Let's see. That's a little thin there. Here. Well, we can put it right there. Why don't you go ahead and put some more cards over like that. That's good. Any idea what cards you might have cut to here? No possible idea. I mean, these are all different cards here in these piles, as you can plainly see. But here they are, and I'll do this very slowly, very meticulously. There are 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that. They say the hand is quicker than the eye, but remember, only the nose runs. Anyway, it's a weird joke, I don't know. But you see on pile number 1 is ace number 1. On pile number 2 is ace number 2. Pile number 3 is ace number 3, so on and so forth. We're not going to play cards with her, okay? No, not this time at least. Here is our amazing aces. This is a mystery where the spectator cuts to the 4 aces. The setup is a simple one. The 4 aces are on top of the pack. The rest of these cards, the order is unimportant. But there they are on top, the 4 aces. You begin by asking the spectator to cut the pack into 4 piles. You now demonstrate this as follows. I go from left to right. A little pile, so on and so forth. What you are emphasizing is the fact, of course, that these piles are even in quantity. Now, as I've done this, I now use this jump procedure to pick them back up. This is a little throw-off for the spectators. This last pack where the aces are on top, and I will reverse 1 just so it's even more clear. You are now going to jump over 1, jump over 2, and finally reassemble the packs to the left side. When the audience is looking, of course, just at backs, this is a quite deceptive move. but it's just a little extra tidbit is all. You now ask the spectator if they would please cut the cards into 4 piles. Let me show you the first scenario. They would cut the cards into 4 equal piles. What you want to do as a magician is make sure you are keeping your eyes on the pile where the aces are. This is important. And this is where they are at this stage. I'll tell you more about this in a moment. I pick up this pile with the aces on top, and I push the first card forward, protruding. I continue to say these top 4 cards are the 4 cards at the positions where the pack was cut. The question is, what are these cards? Now, let's take a look from the opposite side. Remember the ace, this one, and the other 3 aces are right there. I now, with 3 indifferent cards, must reverse the order, just like this. I say these 4 cards, cut to by you. As I bring these 4, remember there's an ace on top now by reversing the order. These cards are somewhat squared onto the pack, but I hold a little finger break, so they are separate of the top. I now turn over that top card. There is revelation number 1. I am going to pick up these 3 indifferent cards, getting rid of them behind that ace. This is picked up as a group. Notice how I hold the cards. These fingers cover the front edge of that pack because, of course, it is going to be slightly thick. It's apparently 1 card you're dropping down, but you're actually dropping 4. This is cut off and dropped onto pile number 1 to my left. I have just gotten rid of those 3 indifferent cards. I now turn over the next card to the top of this pack, which is an ace. I use the same action with the hand, so everything is uniform. And I am now revealing, showing each of the top cards cut to by the spectator are the 4 aces. You would now proceed in any direction you would like with a 4-ace mystery. But let's take a quick look at how this might be dependent upon how the spectator cuts the cards differently. For example, I'll turn these face up just for clarity. Sometimes the spectator will not just cut the pack like this. Sometimes, of course, they will grab a small group of cards, maybe too small, and they'll place them off to this side, and then they'll cut some more here, and the piles are very thick. Now remember, at this point, don't panic, because this pile over here would be, say, too small to get rid of 4 cards off the top of you, and it would end up with almost nothing. So what I would do is I would just calmly pick up this pile and say, this seems to be a little bit of a short pile here. Here, why don't you, maybe that seems to be a bit thick. Here, just cut that a bit more even. And then you just allow the spectator to do that. That's no big deal. You've followed where the aces are. Here they are. You now would proceed. Normally, you would pick these up, each one off, and proceed as I described a moment ago. Remember, what's most important is, of course, that you are keeping track of where those aces go. There are, of course, other possibilities that you will run into as the spectator cuts the cards. So just pay attention and keep your eyes on the aces, remain calm, and you're in good order. The aces are there. I continue. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Ace number 1, ace number 2, ace number 3, and ace number 4. Quite a little miracle, if I do say so myself. Don't tell anyone how you did that, okay? Excellent. I will spread through the cards like this, and if you would, just reach out and touch any one of those cards. Go ahead. Right there. Please take a look at that card. Show all the nice people here. Mm-hmm. Excellent. You haven't forgotten the card? No. You need to look at it one more time? Good. Go ahead and drop your card right about there. That's terrific. If I give the cards a couple cuts and a little bit of a mixing like this, once in a while, I get lucky with the cards. And it goes right to the face. That was your card? No, it wasn't. I'm usually not that lucky. Here, if I cut the cards like this, sometimes it goes to the top of the deck. No, I wasn't lucky again. But you know, I think we're going to have to use this little spot right here. X marks the spot. And 2 hands, I think I will stand for this one. Watch closely if you would. Watch.
Wow.
Just that fast.
Good.
There it is.
Wow.
How about that? You know, ladies and gentlemen, X marks the spot. And where is that X? It is right out here. Just that little spot right there. That's the lead-in line that I use. We call that a hook in the business. That gets the interest of the audience right off the bat. Now we're going to do a standard select a card mystery, but not with a standard finish. The cards are unprepared, they can be shuffled by a spectator, and a card is selected. In this case, the 10 of spades. This card will then be controlled to the bottom of the deck. Here's how I like to do it. The card is replaced, and whenever you have a card replaced, it is best to have these cards spread out like this. Card goes into the pack. I now bring these in, closing it up, and of course I hold the little finger break right back here. This card, and that is a standard handling, this card will now be held with the break underneath it in preparation for the card being controlled to the bottom of the pack. So in this case, rather than the spectator's selected card there, it is here. The break went underneath it. I now cut this entire pack to the table, and now I throw these cards loosely on top, squaring up. I remind my spectator in the presentation, X marks the spot, and there it is. You are now going to, with both hands shown empty, pick up the pack so that the cards are facing myself, you, the magician. The audience won't see from their angle out there this face. As I rock the pack forward, I am going to palm the 10 of spades off into my right hand. This is a very nice touch because as my hand is shown empty, and I don't say it's empty, I just gesture, watch the X. And my hand comes to the pack. I do a standard top palm, which is pushing this card over, and then my little finger rocks forward on this, bringing the card into the palm as my hand turns toward the spectators so that they can see an indifferent card on the pack. My right hand holding the deck from above like this, keeping this palmed card hidden, places the deck to the left. Remember, our imaginary X is out here. My left hand comes over the top, and now with this card palmed, I'm going to bring my hands in a crisscross fashion. And as my hands cross at this moment, I allow the card to fall from my hand to the table, and just like that, it makes its visual appearance. Let me move the pack off to the side so you can get a little bit better view of this. This is, of course, concealed. I have just placed the pack to the side, and there it is. Let's see, I think I'm going to need someone's hands for this mystery. You're not too busy right now.
No.
If you would, in a moment, I will ask you to hold your hands out just like this.
Okay.
Excellent. And in the meantime, I will use my little friends right here. And if you would, just touch any one of them, please. That's perfect. Go ahead and pull them all the way out. Take a good look at him. Show him to everybody. Let his face be known, so to speak. I'll give the cards a little bit of a shuffle here. Go ahead and pop him right back about there. That's good. Wonderful. Now, sometimes, of course, when I do this, the card appears on the face of the deck. No such luck. Sometimes when I do this, the card appears on the top of the deck. These are definitely what I call really well shuffled cards. How about this? Would you go ahead and hold your hands out?
In fact, if you would, maybe just come a little bit closer, just like that. That's perfect. Watch. All I will do is riffle the cards on top of my right hand, just like this. Son of a gun, I think it worked.
Did work very well.
That's the card.
Well, it is time now to see a card pass through the magician's hand. This is reminiscent of X marks the spot, so watch closely as you watch the following. A card is, of course, selected, and you are going to control that selected card, whatever it happens to be, to the face of the deck, or the bottom of the deck. Usually what I will do is I spread the cards between my hands like this, asking for a spectator to touch a card. They then take that card out, look at it, I leave these cards spread. The card is remembered by your audience, returned to the pack, and I allow my left little finger to catch a break underneath it, as follows. So you can see that right there. Now these cards, as they are squared back onto the pack, of course the break is held, so the selected card is there. I give the cards a little riffle, and I will now cut this entire upper pack to the table, and now continue in small groups like this. You can even shuffle off some cards overhand fashion style like that and drop them down. Remember, that card is on the face of the pack. Also too, remember this, if you're doing this for one of your fellow friend magicians, this will throw them off quite a lot, because magicians are sometimes familiar with the fact that a selected card is controlled to the top of the deck, but rarely do magicians control cards to the bottom of the deck or face of the pack. So this is a nice little throw off, especially if you put this in. Adds to the deceptive nature of this mystery. Now, as I pick these cards up, once again, I am going to palm this card in my right hand off the face of the pack. As I turn my hands toward the spectator, like this, the card goes off and the audience can see the X card, the unknown card, the card they don't care about on the face of the pack. I have this card palmed. Backing up just a moment, I like to do the following. I ask somebody, would you hold your hands together like this? They do this in front of you, and now this helps tie up the spectator as far as getting physically involved in your mystery. I pick up the cards, and this is the moment when I palm the card off the pack. This hand, my right hand, now moves over the spectator's two hands. Pretend those are right here if you would. There's the palmed card. My left hand comes over the top, and under that noise, you couldn't see it happen. Let me do this where it's a little bit more an exploded view. When I riffle the cards like this, I allow this card to drop right into the spectator's hands. Be sure, of course, to watch the presentation for how it looked from the front side. The card is palmed. The hands move forward, the riffle, and at that moment they hear the sound. The card drops into their hands. Whenever you can involve a spectator, such as getting their hands involved, it really helps. There you have it, the card through the hand. Did you both know that the hand is quicker than the eye? You've heard that, haven't you? Yeah, absolutely. The hand is quicker than the eye. I will give you a practical demonstration for all to see. I will get rid of the cards, the rest of the pack that is, and just use these four right here. Yeah, these will work just perfect, I think. Let's see, could I borrow your hands? That hand right there, that's perfect. And here, just come in a little closer. Ooh, there we go, perfect. And if I could borrow your hand right about here, excellent. Now, the ace of spades, this one right here, will go in your hand. And the brother to the ace of spades, that's the ace of clubs, he goes right here.
Don't take your eyes off him for a moment, because you're going to say, I think I saw him do something sneaky. Quicker than the eye, they switch places. What's that? You saw it? Oh, I apologize. I'm not as fast as I used to be, but I am quicker than you think.
Excellent.
I think I hurt myself. I'll be okay. Thank you so much. If you don't mind, I will show you how my aces are quicker than the eye. Let's take this apart and look at it. You will use, of course, two spectators' hands that you will do this in, as you saw in the performance. Just imagine two spectators' hands right here. We really don't need their hands at this point. Watch closely if you would. Note the order of these cards. Ace of spades, red ace, clubs, red ace. This is important. You have picked up the aces and you just put them into this order casually as you are toying with the cards. You ask this spectator to hold out a hand and you show the ace of spades. You are now going to do a glide. There are two methods of using and doing the glide. This one I hold at these ends from above in somewhat of a biddle grip fashion. See how these fingers are reaching over? That's how the glide will be affected. So as I touch her hand, showing the ace of spades, my hand turns over and the glide is done. As I do this, I will be drawing off one of the red cards and placing it into her hand. She will believe that is the ace of spades. I now, because the cards are spread apart in my right hand, this left hand comes in and I square these up, and now I'm going to do a double lift because this is the position I am in. Ace of clubs now in the center. So I do my little buckle at the front of the pack, and this allows me to take a double lift very easily, and you leave it face up as I touch her hand and see the ace of clubs will go in your hand. And I deal that right there into her hand. I say for a moment, I don't even need the red ones, so I pop them back off to the side. Now your audience is ready for the little miracle. Apparently the ace of spades is here, the ace of clubs is here. I say, now watch as they quickly move. You will not even see my hands as they move. Now you do this motion, and of course, obviously, your audience has seen you move, and you just kind of laugh it off like, well, I guess I'm not as fast as I used to be. But now you're ready for the big punch. You turn these two cards over in their hands, and that is the major surprise. Wow, I guess I am faster than you thought I was. Oh, the two black aces, they just happen to be relaxing over here to the side. Remember a couple of fine points on this, if you would. When you are showing a card and you really want your audience to believe that this card is, say, in her hand, and let's say her hand is right here, I would keep my hand close to her hand and leave this card face up, allowing that image to burn into her mind, or his mind, dependent upon who your audience is. I say this one, and now I kind of turn this over right above the hand and put the card right there. Don't worry if you get this little slither action as it comes out. You're just sliding cards off. The ace of spades, remind, and now, of course, over here, you do your double lift, and now you show the ace of clubs. And you can leave that one face up for a moment as well, as it burns into the spectator's mind. That image, place that on their hand, and now you're ready to go, and there you are. Remember, you can use two spectators, or you can use one person holding out both hands. That is also a great benefit when you're only working for one person. I think you'll agree with me. The hand is quicker than the eye. In fact, I'll spread the cards. Go ahead and each of you pull a card out of there. Once again, if you would, show that card to the viewing multitude. Remember your cards. This one will go right there. And if you would, drop your card right there. Excellent. We'll bury that one in there as well and give the cards another brief mixing. To find those two cards from this deck of cards, which is thoroughly shuffled, I know you're watching very closely, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you keeping me honest. I will give the cards a very simple cut. You know, that cut took me so long to learn, I'm almost too old to do it. But that causes one card to jump to the top of the deck. The Eight of Hearts. So far, so good. That was your card? That was your card.
That was mine.
I figured it must be at least one of yours. I have a firm grasp of the obvious, don't I? So you got the Eight of Hearts, another simple cut. And now for your card. In fact, if you would, in a loud, clear voice. Well, not too loud. My ears are delicate. If you would, name your card.
King
Go
of
ahead.
Spades.
The King of Spades. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the King of Spades. Well, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some
Yeah.
too, you know. The King, you know, your card was a lot easier to find. If I give this card a little snap, it changes into the Eight of Hearts.
What?
In fact, it's so easy to find, I can find it twice. And if that's your card, then this has got to be
Oh my god.
your card.
No way. Let me see those.
Please, go ahead, take off your shoes, run through the deck of cards.
That is amazing.
Time for a two-card challenge. Explanation, that is. Your deck of cards, of course, is a standard pack, as always. The cards can be shuffled by a spectator. No preparation required. Two cards will be selected. In this case, I will use the Eight and the King. Two nice contrasting cards. I would have, of course, spectators, one on the far left and one on my far right. Select them. First card, in this case the King of Spades, is returned to the deck, and I use a simple card control. Please reference our comprehensive section for details on this. The card is held with a break. You can do a double undercut, a combination of cutting cards to the table, cutting to that break, controlling the selected card to the top. That's selection number one. I would now cut the cards, looking at spectator 2, offering, would you place your card back onto the pack? Remember, always have every spectator take a peek at the card. This will save you with many hassles in your performance of card magic. That card is returned to the pack. I spread the cards briefly while maintaining my break, asking the audience to please remember whatever their cards are. I then use the same action, a double undercut combination of cutting cards to the table. Both selected cards are now on top of the pack. I usually finish off with a Hindu like this, just of the upper pack of cards. You are now going to give the cards a brief cutting sequence, apparently to find the first selected card. You can do any number of things. You can do the triple cut, the blind swivel cut like this, explained in detail elsewhere. That would then reveal the first card. You are now going to do a double lift. Spread over the top card, your get ready is gesturing your card, looking at spectator number 1, comes to the top of the deck. That allows you to get ready here. I now do my double lift, turning the card face up. This is revelation number 1. Allow that to sink into your audience. This is the first magical moment. Leave that card face up while you talk. You want this image to burn into their mind. That card is turned face down and dealt to the table. You now go for the second one. You can use a cutting sequence to the table. You can use the blind swivel cut again. That choice is up to you. Now you're going to do another double lift. You say, and our second selection, as you look at the spectator, comes to the top of the deck. And there it is. What's that? It's not your card. This is your failure factor on the second card. Of course, you're double lifting and it's hiding the actual selected card, the King of Spades. With this failure happening, apparent failure, I look at the first spectator and I say, spectator, And I say, I know your card was much easier to find. It's interesting. Would you hold out your hand? I then ask them to bring their hand forward. I give a little snap, and it changes into the first selected card found. This is quite a surprise. I say, you know, your card was much easier to find. In fact, if that's your card, then this one sitting on the table the entire time must be your card. A quick review, remembering where these are, 8 and king on top controlled. When I do the first double lift, of course, there is apparently the first card found. Remember, that deals this other selected card to the table, and it is resting there the whole time. Another double lift, and take a look. Wait a minute, that wasn't your card? Remember, the audience believes that they would be seeing the 8 of diamonds at this point, but of course they are not. That's the card they are thinking of, the 8 of diamonds. I turn this over, a little rub, place it on the spectator's hand, bang. Just like that, the first card revealed is back, and there it is, the second one on the table. A fine little mystery, a 2-card challenge.